got my cake. Happy Father's Day.
What's up, everybody? Why the fuck I got to be more early? Why I got to be more early?
I had to bury the lead and put like two pretty normal ones and get everybody to think, oh,
right,
it's going to be, some B-reel or something.
Right, yeah, it's right.
That was awesome, man. That was the best one
that
yet.
was really good.
I think we said it every time. I think that was the best one yet.
Everybody, I can see everybody when they're watching the reel. Everybody, Anthony's just going, "What the fuck?"
Some Chinese Jason Statham. He has to be the guy that catches the panties in his mouth.
Oh, I loved it.
Oh yeah, that was perfect.
All right, so I guess I need to go to work here. What's going on, everybody?
What's up?
So we are here for our top 5 anthology stories. Not anthology movies, but anthology stories. Because as Brad has said before, which I totally agree with, it's hard to find an anthology movie where every story is good. So he said, what the hell, let's do the top 5 stories we like, which I think is kind of unique, was a great idea.
Yeah.
So
hope to hear
that's what we got tonight. And this was I know I can speak for myself, maybe everybody else, I don't know. But I know I'm not going to watch an anthology movie for a while after this stream.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot I hadn't seen. Some good ones that I'm glad that I watched. A lot that I'm glad I'm upset that I watched, because there's a lot of bad anthologies out there. But there's a lot of great ones too.
Yeah, I've always loved horror anthologies, even like since I was a kid. So I kind of grew up on them. So I definitely have my favorites. So this wasn't too difficult for me because I already have like all my favorite stories pretty much in my head.
Yeah. And I got a lot of that are my favorites, whatever, for sure. But I got a couple that are new. Well, I got one that's new.
Yeah.
So it was a nice surprise. How about you guys? Did you guys struggle with this one more or less than the others? Other top 5 we've done?
I struggled a lot.
Yeah, it was a little for me. It was kind of it was sort of the same thing. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, these were sort of like par for the course. I mean, horror anthology was kind of it. So there was a lot of nostalgia here, and there was a lot that I actually went back and watched that I hadn't seen in a while, and I was like, I liked this. What the hell? But so interestingly enough, there's a couple new ones in here for me that I didn't know about. So it was kind of a very dichotomous sort of experiment for me. There was the ones that were tried and true, and there were some that I was just like, and I found something different. So, but I kind of agree with Pops. I don't know what it is about the anthologies. If you're watching them back to back, they start to wear on you after a while.
They do. What's funny to me is there was a lot that I figured, well, that's going to definitely be in my top 5. Something I hadn't seen in 20 years, 15 years, 10 years. I went and watched it again. I went, I don't think that's going to make it. What the hell? And I thought this was going to be easy. And there you go. I got, my three of my 5 I thought I had locked in. I'm now flapping in the breeze. So they just didn't hold up the way I thought they would.
Yeah, I kind of put my 5 together at the beginning, and then I was like, this isn't going to hold up. And most of them did, but I watched so much shit that was just a total waste of time because I basically already had the ones that I wanted. Right. But I agree with Ryan 100%. A lot of this stuff did not hold up for me at all from what I remembered.
Yeah.
And then there were some that I watched that are good, but a lot of them tie everybody together. So it's different kind of segments, but then the whole thing is tied together.
Yeah.
Appear in the stories that are in other stories. So it's like, well, that's kind of like really the whole movie that doesn't fit what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. Is it right? It's an anthology. A lot of them are kind of like an anthology cop out, almost like, well, it's not really an anthology if all of this relates. But then, I don't know, you can go back and forth on that one.
Yeah. Pulp Fiction, Sin City, they all have an overarching story. Is it really this kind of anthology? I mean, it's the same as anything else. If it's an anthology to you, it's an anthology.
Right. And there's some I watched, but the wraparound story was better than any of the fucking stories itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was several like that. I was like, well, I like the frame, but I didn't like the damn stories.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get see what we got out there in the chat. We got 19 people out there already.
Hey,
Kim, what's going on, man?
What's up?
Hey boys, my favorite anthologies are Creep Show, Trick or Treat, Black Sabbath, House that Dripped Blood, and Trilogy of Terror.
There we go.
Good choices, man.
Hell yeah.
Wild Wrangler, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, man.
I like Creep Show the Crate. Yeah, that's a good one, man. Whole fluffy.
Yeah. Tough fluffy, yeah.
I also like Creep Show 2, The Raft.
I have a feeling that'll come up at some point.
It'll probably come up somewhere.
I feel like it's going to get mentioned.
What's up, Tony?
Tony.
We kept up late last night. Had a fun stream last night. You guys can check that out if y'all wasn't here. Good time. What's going on, Hagen?
Wrangler.
Well, so it should be a great live stream.
It'll be fun.
That's what you think.
That's what
Sucker.
the booze is for. That's what the booze is for.
I dug through YouTube to find the most professional guys, and this is what I came up with. So,
I don't care what you bastards think.
Well, at least you got a doctor in there.
Exactly.
Right.
And this stream is sponsored by Maker's Mark and Dare. So it should be a fun one.
Just pour some more alcohol on it.
If later in the stream you hear Brad reading the comments, I got Brad set up as a tag team if I need him. So
What's up, Sydney?
Right. What's going on, Sydney? VHS 94.
Yep.
That's a great one, yeah.
Ratma.
Saying hey. Everybody saying hey. Damn Dirty Ape. It's just fun to say.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on, man?
Hey, man.
Yeah, that intro was beautiful. Yeah, it was.
Thanks. Worked out.
You get more professional, man. You even got the pauses in there.
Yeah. Froze it
nice.
just so you could get the picture, Alan, just so you could see what it was.
Right.
It's funny. Chuck sits down just as his part is started over. He's like, Chris Farley, what the fuck?
Someone say nice new intro.
Great. Happy laughing.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on, Holland? Stream has officially started.
Yeah, I was a little jealous. I was like, damn, I want to be Chuck.
Yeah, we had to bury that lead a little bit, so everybody kind of thought it was just going to be something normal.
Wild Wrangler's a great shirt, Gore.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Fantastic intro, says Wild Wrangler. What's going on, Magic Hands?
What's up?
Aiken Cates' Trilogy of Terror. My dad showed me that when I was younger. Yep.
Yeah, it's an iconic one.
Allie, what's going on, dear?
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Allie?
Hey.
Scratch Burno, what's going on? Jason Warner, what's going on, buddy?
What's up?
Jason.
Juan Wrangler says, great stream yesterday, Pops. Was stubbed with my riddle. Yeah, we were stumped with the riddle, for sure. How's it, everybody? All right. Well, we were caught up in the chat. I guess we're going to get started, guys, with the first one.
Let's do it.
Brian, it's like you're in the hot seat.
All right. So to kick it off, it's kind of what I was talking about earlier. This is one that sort of surprised me that lands at number 5. One that I hadn't seen, and initially I wasn't all that impressed with this anthology, and it was the last story that really caught me, and that's kind of what kicks me off. This is 2017 British. They call it a horror anthology series, although you can use the term horror kind of a little bit loosely, and that's something called Ghost Stories.
Okay.
Yep. So if you haven't seen this, it's really interesting. It's based off of a stage play, a 2012 stage play by Andy Nyman and Jeremy Dyson, who do the same thing. Andy Nyman stars in this, and the frame for this is there's a professor. His name is Philip Goodman. That's played by one of the directors, Andy Nyman, and he goes around and he debunks paranormal guys, psychics, things like that. And he makes his whole life debunking these guys. And there's a hero of his that did the exact same thing, who just kind of dropped off the face of the earth and disappeared. Well, he finds this guy, and he's living in like a travel trailer down by the ocean. And basically the guy says, the reason why I disappeared is because it's all true. And of course he says, no, it's not. There's no way. And he hands him 3 cases. He says, go investigate these 3 cases and come back to me and tell me if you don't believe that it's all true. So there's your 3 stories of the anthology. The first one, interesting idea. I was like, okay. Second one, I was like, it's getting worse. Third one just kind of blew me away. And for like a lot of the things that I like, especially when it comes to horror, this was definitely an all dialogue story. And there's nothing to it. There's very little cinematography. There's very little photography. The main guy that you're walking around with, so it's the investigator talking to, Martin Freeman. And if you're not familiar with who that is, he's been in everything. He was Bilbo Baggins in the Hobbit trilogy. He is in Captain America, Black Panther, all of those. And it's just him telling this story to the investigator about his wife and when his wife was pregnant. And it's all dialogue. And I'm very much a dialogue whore, hence my love of Tarantino and Kevin Smith and those guys. And you're just not really sure where it's going. And you want to not like it because it feels like a slow burn. But the way that Martin Freeman plays his character pulls you in so much, you cannot not suddenly just become enamored with this guy. It's very, very atmospheric, for lack of a better sense. I won't say anything else. It does have a little bit of, it's got some gore and some flash to it at the very end, but it's really the story that draws you in. And the very way that third story ends, how Martin Freeman ends it, is just, you don't see it coming. You really just don't see it coming. It's one of the few that you feel is pretty predictable. All the other stories were. The frame, it's very tropey. It's been done, but it works well for this. This one is one of the ones you could argue loosely is maybe not so much of an anthology, because I'm not giving anything away by saying that it really does tie in together. But if you haven't seen it, it's one of those ones that you very easily could just forward it to the third story. It's all you need to see, and you will not be disappointed in it at all. And weirdly enough, it was so well done. It pushed it right into my top 5.
I have to check.
Can I see that release again?
Yeah.
Can I see the release? Is that a Scream Factory release?
I have seen.
Yeah,
seen
it is. It's a Scream Factory. Yeah.
Okay, I don't have a slip on mine. That's interesting. Okay, so I have that release, but I don't think I have the slip. So, yeah, beware when I come down again.
Yep. I already got my super glue out. Don't worry about it.
That's awesome pick, man.
All right, yeah. So a lot of these ones are, like I said, ones I've been watching since I was a kid, and this one always stuck with me, and that's Tales from the Dark Side, the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Great pick.
That's great.
The story I'm going to pick is Lover's Vow.
Oh, yeah.
Gargoyle here. And, yeah, it's basically just about James Raymar from Dexter. You know, he's Dexter's father. That's like his, you know, one that guides him and everything. And he plays Preston, and Preston's like a struggling artist type, and he's just trying to figure out his life. He can't pay his bills. He can't do anything. He's meeting up with his agent at a bar, you know, and his agent's, you know, gonna dump his ass because he's not, you know, making anything that he can sell. And, you know, so he's just getting drunk at the bar, and the bar owner is closing up for the night. They step outside, you know, the bar owner's going to give Preston a ride home because he's having obviously a terrible night. And all of a sudden the bar owner gets his head just sliced off. And just blood just goes everywhere. And you just see this amazing looking gargoyle creature right here, which I think they did a great job with the effects for that. It's, you know, just this like animatronic thing. And it's awesome. It's really well done. And, you know, the creature says, "I'll spare your life. If I let you go, you must swear you'll never say you saw me, never say you heard me speak, never tell anyone how I look, never repeat what I've said, a promise forever." You know, so he's like, you know, "Are you kidding me?" You know, and he's like, okay, I'll do it. And the creature like scratches him and then just flies off. And then, you know, he's walking back home, you know, he can't believe what happened or whatever. And he bumps into this lady who's walking alone at night. And she says, "Oh, you know, I'm just trying to find a cab to get home." And they end up going back to his place, and they end up hooking up, you know, and he finds love. And then he finds a new like passion. He starts drawing better. He starts making all these amazing, you know, all this amazing artwork and designs. And he's back at it. His agent takes him back, and, you know, everything's going good for him. He's making money again. He found this woman, you know, that he's in love with. And then flash forward 10 years, and, you know, they're married. They have 2 kids. Everything's going pretty good. But Preston just feels really bad, you know, for not being completely honest with her. There's like one thing that he hasn't told her, and that, of course, is the gargoyle, you know. And he actually had this really cool gargoyle statue made, which, God, I wish I could find that thing because it's really sweet. He's got this little gargoyle thing, and he shows it to her. And he's like, "Look, there's only one thing that I haven't been completely honest with you about, and it's this night I got attacked, and that's when the same night I met you, and all this stuff." And you know, spoilers, I gotta spoil this one because it's like the whole thing of the story. But she starts turning into the creature, the gargoyle. You know, she gets super upset, and then the effects for this are amazing. Like the claws bursting through the hands, and her face just pulling apart. And I mean, it looks so good, all practically done too. It's amazing. And you know, he hears the kids crying from the next room, and he goes to run to check on him. He trips, and she just like pulls him in, you know, to her arms, you know, with her wings, and holds him close. And Preston says, "Carola, I loved you." And now Carola has turned into the gargoyle, and she says, "And I loved you too, but you broke your vow, and that sealed our destiny." And then she just rips his throat out. And then you also see that the kids have also changed into these little gargoyle creatures, which the effects on those also look amazing. And they, you know, they're upset, obviously. They go to their mother's arms, you know, and then she just holds them and flies off through the ceiling, through the glass there. And, you know, that's how it ends. You just see her and the 2 baby gargoyles, and now they're like stone again. And that's how the episode ends. And I just that one always, I don't know, it stuck with me for a long time. So I just thought that payoff is just so damn good.
Now the girl was Ray Don Chong, right? Tommy Chong's daughter. The girl was Ray Don Chong.
Yeah.
The girl from Commando.
Yeah, Ray Don Chong from Commando and The Color Purple. Yep. That's who. She was really good in this too. Yeah, she played Carola.
It's a giant metaphor for divorce.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
No doubt.
Yeah,
but yeah,
so, you know, what's funny is I'll never forget watching that. I was showing it to my dad, who's my father was not a movie guy. He was one of those. He's kind of like Alan's dad was. unless it was like a Western, if it was Clint, or Dirty Harry, he'd watch it, but he didn't sit down and watch anything. And so I was like, let's watch this movie. It was late one night. We were both about 3 sheets to the wind, and I'll never forget it gets right to the end of it. And he looks at me and he goes, let that be a lesson to you. I was like, what fucking lesson would that be? He goes, keep your mouth shut.
Right.
Just don't tell him anything. I was like, fuck, that's what you took away from that?
If she's crazy as fuck, just let it be. Don't say nothing.
Right, don't say nothing.
Yeah, everything was going
deny,
so well.
deny.
Yeah, everything was going perfectly for him. All he had to do was keep his mouth shut, and he just couldn't do it. And it was 10 years later too. I mean, it's like, come on, dude.
Yeah, the real irony was that whole episode was my first marriage, just in reverse.
She ripped your throat out first, right?
Oh yeah. I knew she was a gargoyle to start with, but I figured I'd hedge my bets.
Double down.
I have to agree with you though. The practical, on a rewatch, watching that, I was shocked at how good the practical effects were for the time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's a solid one altogether.
Yeah,
it really is.
That's a solid Scream Factory release. It really is.
Great slip. All right. Well, my number 5 is from VHS 2012, and it's Amateur Night. It's the first ever VHS story. It's written and directed by David Bruckner. He did The Night House, The Ritual, which is great, which is a Netflix movie. Southbound, which is another anthology movie. First story VHS, great segment, kicks off the franchise. What it's about is about a group of like really obnoxious, like frat boy types, like just basically chimps that are going out and they're going to try and shoot some kind of like Girls Gone Wild type video with some local drunk chicks. I don't know exactly where it's set. I would assume downtown LA, somewhere like that. And they're like the most annoying bunch of assholes you've ever come across. And, like, I'm not going to go into this too much, but Bloody Disgusting, they're big in that social programming stuff. And this is like a sexist, focus on the man's gaze type thing. That's the way Bruckner phrased it. Anyway, it's a blast. They go out and they find 2 drunk girls. One is extra weird. And like Chuck said, her face is like 50% eyeballs.
Right.
And they decide that they're going to take her home and she's going to be a good time. She barely talks. She's almost like a cat. She has a big dent in her forehead, but they're like, screw it, we're going to do it anyway. And they take them back. One girl's too drunk to do anything. She passes out. But the big-eyed girl is all into it, and she's like almost feral. And it gets really dark really fast. And then when the breakdown happens, and she basically turns into this flying vampiric like she-monster chick, and she just slaughters them all. My favorite part's the breakdown, obviously, but one of the group gets away. She didn't really have a taste for him. She was busy eating the others. And he gets away, and you think he's just about to get away. He's running up to these construction workers at night that are drinking beers by their truck. And then he gets like lifted off the ground. He's screaming. He cuts down. You can see her talons are like sticking in his chest. And she's just carrying him off into the night screaming. I just really like that story. Real simple, really quick to the point story, but it's real effective too. It kind of gets away for a little bit, and I don't know. It's a good one. I think most people have probably seen that one, but it just always stuck with me, and it really set off this franchise for me in a really good way. They started off on the right foot, and it paid off. But yeah, that's Amateur Night.
That's my favorite story in that one too.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. Out of it may actually be one of my favorite. If you line up all of the VHS franchise, it's still my favorite story out of all of them.
Yeah,
it's pretty good, man. Pretty damn good, I thought.
Yeah,
and you nailed it, because I think what's so great about it is it's very elegant. It's no fat. It gives you everything that you need, and it does it in such a clever way. Even when you kind of know where it's going, you're like, oh, okay, I get this whole sort of like revenge thing. But it's just so well done without adding a lot of extra fluff in it that it didn't need.
Yeah, she's actually the predator and they're the prey kind of thing.
Right.
It seems the other way. They were like, and you want these guys to die. They're the most annoying, obnoxious guys in the history of the world, basically.
Yeah.
And they painted them pretty well.
Yeah, because it feels very real. Like, I mean, it works for that segment because you can see guys like that, and it's got that right amount of sleaze to it, and then when the horror elements kick in, man, it goes.
Well, there's a lot of that in the VHS franchise. That's why I like them so much.
Right.
You know, a lot of that, you know, you feel like you're actually watching a home video of some shit that really happened.
Exactly.
You know, I think that's why they're so popular. But,
right. Yeah. They pay out that whole found footage thing without that. Like we talked about it in the other stream. It's like the problem with a lot of found footage is that it's too obviously tropey found footage, you know, instead of viable or believable found footage. Whereas VHS doesn't have that problem for the most. Some of their stories do, but
yeah, some of them do. But yeah, that's number 5, and that's the one I've rewatched probably the most out of them up until recently, I'd say. But I really enjoy it, and I just think it's aged well. You know, some of this found footage stuff hasn't. A lot of this anthology stuff, hasn't. But it's 2012 the movie, and it's still working today.
Great pick, man.
Yeah, that's a great pick.
My number 5 is, I kind of look at it as a wild card, maybe be considered. And he's from it. This particular segment, it's got 10 segments in the whole thing. Segment I absolutely love. It's from 2015, Tales of Halloween. It's called This Means War.
Okay.
And what is it? You don't get this so much with Halloween stuff, but you get it a lot with neighbors battling with like Christmas decorations. Like they've done movies about that. I think, what was it, Jingle All the Way? I think was one of those movies.
Yeah.
But basically, you have a guy setting up his lawn for Halloween, and he's probably late 40s to early 50s. Nice and calm, setting everything up. Nice, he's all happy. And then across the street, he has a new neighbor that moves in. The metal music is blaring. This truck pulls up. They're pulling body parts out. They've got blood everywhere. It's just complete chaos. He would be my brother. That's what he would be. And the older guy across the street is getting annoyed, and they're looking at each other. They're going back and forth with stuff they're building and stuff they're setting up. And it comes to Halloween night. The older guy's got this talking skeleton set up on his front lawn, trying to like scare everybody, that kind of shit. And across the street, the music starts blaring. He loses his mind. He goes across the street to confront them. They start having words. The younger guy, he seems sympathetic for a moment, but it's just him fucking with them. The guy loses his mind, runs in, he starts ripping his music apart. The younger guy runs across the street. As soon as he comes out from looked like he was like in his house. As soon as he comes out, he cuts the head off of that skeleton the guy's got on his front lawn. He runs back across the street, and they just start brawling, and it ends on point. So I'll say that if you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen that one.
It's just so fun. It's not all the segments in this are not all that long. It couldn't have been more than like 10 minutes. This particular segment, but it's so fun. It's just something you can 100% see happening. As I said, you see that mostly with like neighbors with like Christmas decorations, who's got the most shit. Same concept, except it's Halloween stuff, and it's just such a blast.
Yeah, I came across that. I haven't seen it. I need to check it out.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
It's got a lot of good segments. And looking at it real quick, there's 10 different segments in this. It runs about 2 hours. There are bonus films in here as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 additional segments in it. So there's actually 17 different features in here. And this was like a super duper limited edition box.
Put that out.
It's available. It's just like a regular edition now. So it's all the extra crap in here. It was just like, there's a CD in here. There's a DVD in here. There's maybe a couple DVDs, one Blu-ray. I don't even fucking know anymore. But it's a lot of fun. It's actually a really good anthology stuff to watch, but that particular segment kicks ass.
Nice.
That's a good recommendation.
Yeah.
Good job. Okay. So my number 5 is going to be, this is a great anthology. I think the whole anthology is great. And that's going to be Body Bags.
Oh,
hell yeah.
And the story I'm picking out of this might not be everybody's favorite, but it's one that I laugh my ass off every time I watch it. It's the one with Stacey Keach.
Yeah.
His hair.
Yep. Absolutely.
The guy's having a problem losing his hair. I kind of came to terms. But this fucking guy, first off, I love Stacy Keach. Stacy Keach has got, I guess you would call it like a dry comedy. He's not really a funny guy, but he's almost funny without trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And this guy, the way he's going psycho about losing his hair is just so fucking comical to me. I mean, he goes into extremes. His girlfriend keeps coming over. He's trying different things, different hairstyles. And just the way he opens the door, all excited that she's going to just freak out about his gray head of hair because some of the stupid shit he's done, like he fucking spray paints his head in one scene. And it's just the way this guy freaks about losing his hair. It's so fucking funny to me. And this whole, I could have picked anyone from this anthology. I love this anthology. I mean, first off, if you haven't seen this yet, you got cameos.
My man is in
Wes
there.
Craven, Sam Raimi, Roger Corman, Toby Hooper, if I'm not leaving anybody out. But this one here, the main star is Stacy Keach. David Warner is the doctor he goes to see. Basically, what he ends up doing is he ends up finding out about this new clinic. He sees these commercials on TV. This new clinic that promises to regrow hair. And so he goes there, and the doctor there, his name is David Warner. You probably know him from Titanic. He's Billy Zane's bodyguard in Titanic. And I didn't realize this, so I started doing some research. I didn't even recognize her, but the nurse that's there, and the nurse is like just oohing and ahhing over Stacy Keach. All your hair is gonna be so beautiful and all this kind of shit. It's hilarious. That girl's played by Blondie, and the girl that keeps coming over, his girlfriend is Sheena Easton, and I didn't recognize either one of them. And I grew up, listening to both these girls, but I didn't pick up on until after the fact that this was Blondie and Sheena Easton. So there's a shitload of cameos in this whole anthology, but like I said, hair was the one that I had to pick, whatever, simply because of Stacy Keach's performance. But basically, after he gets the performance done, and basically when he goes in to get the procedure done, they have a computer screen there, and they have his head up on the computer screen. They're giving him different hairstyles to choose from, and he picks the one that's like this long fucking hair. He's like a bass player from the 70s band. And on Stacy Keach's big old fat head, it looks fucking hilarious. And when he wakes up that next morning, he has a big bandage on. And he gets up the next morning, takes his bandage off. He has this long fucking head of hair, and he's just so fucking proud of it. He's so just like, oh, if I let you touch it, I have to let everybody touch it.
Yeah,
that kind of deal. And come to find out, what they did basically, the guy, the doctor, like I said, this is spoilers. If you ain't seen it by now, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. Spoilers.
Basically, the doctor that he went to go see is an alien, and these little fucking things in his head are fucking like little worms. And the CGI on these worms are fucking terrible, but I love them. They're great. And the fucking hair, he starts growing hair out of his fucking cheeks, and he looks ridiculous. He looks like a fucking caveman. And just the way it all sets up. But like I said, I love the ending. I love the way it all kind of plays out. But the reason why I picked this as one of my top 5 is simply because of Stacy Keach's performance. And just the way when he finally gets his fucking hair and he goes back to the barbershop, and the guy's just oohing on over his hair. He's so proud of himself. And he looks ridiculous. And there's something about it, it's hilarious to me. And like I said, I could have picked any one of these stories. The first story is great. You got the girl at the gas station going into the little booth, whatever. But if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. That one's great because you get all the cameos from all these big directors. And it's fun to see, Wes Craven and shit like that. A little picture of Sam Raimi. And also John Carpenter does a great job as the mortician. He's kind of the wraparound guy in this anthology. What's funny is if they were to film this in 2023, they would need no makeup. This guy looks like John Carpenter now. And back then they got him all done up, whatever. But you could tell that he's having a fucking ball doing this. And I think just the fact that you can tell he's having such a good time, it makes me love it even more.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love everything about this here. Johnny is the one that kind of turned me on to this. I had never seen this before I got the Scream Factory release. But Johnny was like, dude, you got to get body bags. And the first time I watched him, I fell in love with it. I watched it about 4 or 5 times. And like I said, I'm surprised I didn't pick the last story because Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, I'm a Star Wars nerd, is in the last story. And he does a great job in that. And there's one scene, not that I'm looking for shit like this, but there's one left-making scene with Mark Hamill that if you pause it just at the right time, you can almost see his lightsaber. Just saying. So there's that. But watching Mark Hamill have a love scene after growing up on Star Wars, it kind of blew my mind a little bit. So just if you're into shit like that. So my number 5
I knew you loved Luke, but
But listen, and I was just going to say, I'm just from a professional opinion, I'm going to go past the Freudian part where I'm going to talk about how much Pops wants to see Mark Hamill's lightsaber. But
well, I'm not saying that, but if I was going to swing that way, he'd probably be in the top 5.
Thank God it wasn't Sylvester Stallone in the movie.
Listen,
man, it's a fun anthology all the way through. There's very little I can complain about with this anthology. Every story's fun. None of them are like, oh my god, that's going to blow you away. But the whole fucking movie is a fun watch.
Yeah.
And what's fun about that movie, and John Carpenter is, I mean, kind of really does it in the beginning, but the whole thing is all that great 80s horror puns. And they're just, it's fun. They have a lot of fun with it.
And like I said, even if you don't, love the stories, just keeping your eye out for all the cameos.
Yeah.
That alone is worth watching.
I think Tom Arnold he's like one of the
Tom Arnold and fucking Toby Hooper shows up in the morgue there at the end. So what a fucking pairing.
Stacy Keach is a tremendous actor. Everything he's done. I mean, even like his psycho serious things like American History X. He was on a show like
great movie.
Like Cats or something like that he played these kids' fathers. It's a hilarious fucking show. That's a crime that had an old DVD years ago and has never seen the light of day since. But he is just so good and such a good actor that what he does in that room, when he shows up with his hair spray painted, with his whole head.
He really does. He sells the classic dude that just can't cope with the fact
that what's fun is I can relate to it because there was a time I probably started losing my hairline probably about my late 30s. And there was a time that I was like, and I look ridiculous because I got a big head anyway. And when I had a fucking 8 head, I thought I can't do this. I just started shaving them, and and I ain't got to worry about it. I ain't on a comb in like 20 years. So, but just to see this guy react to it, I wouldn't know where that psycho about it. But there was a small little window where you have to accept the fact that you're going to be a bald bitch, But just this guy was not accepting it at all. And there was something about Stacy Keach. This is my favorite thing I've ever seen Stacy Keach do, and I've always been a Stacy Keach fan. It's just something about him, and he has that look about it. When he gets that long hair and he's waving it back, and it's so funny. And also when he goes to the car and he's looking around, and he's struggling about his hair loss, and he sees all these other people with their hair, and you get a shot of Nick Nicotero. Is that his name?
Yeah,
Nicotero.
Yeah.
Back in his younger days, he's got that long blonde hair, and he's walking around, he's waving his hair. He's just looking at him like all jealous. So there's a fucking ton of cameos.
Stacy Keach is not known for his looks. Let's just put it kindly.
Right.
And for him to be obsessed with his appearance, it makes it all the funnier.
Right.
But when he spray paints his head and his girlfriend kisses him on top of the head, and she's got black paint all over her face.
That's literally fall out of the chair laughing.
He's combing his fucking thing straight forward like fucking flock of seagulls.
Oh, God.
Yeah. It's great, man.
Incredible.
All right, let's catch up on the chat here. Wild Wrangler says, great shirt, Doc.
Yeah, man, appreciate
going there.
Right.
Saying, hey, what's going on, Steve?
Steve, what's up?
Steve?
Alice says, love the Kiss shirt, Anthony.
Oh, thanks.
Nobody commented on my goddamn Burt Reynolds shirt. That's all right.
You know what was funny? I was trying to see what was on your shirt, but I couldn't tell. What is it?
It's the Smokey the Bandit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was trying to see, but I couldn't quite make it out.
God damn it. They $30 for these fucking shirts, goddamn. Y'all need to comment on them. Maybe I should have said that out loud.
Now watch, the next compliment is complimenting you on your shirt.
It ain't gonna mean nothing though. Y'all don't even say it now. We want to hear it.
It's too late now.
It'll be somebody in the chat going, "What the fuck are you wearing, Alan? What is that?
Who's the bandit?"
What a great.
If somebody said who's the bandit, we're just turning the stream off.
Is that Bert from like Bert and Ernie?
Our friend says Tommy Chong's daughter. Yep, Ray Dawn Chong. Yep, she ain't done nothing in a while that I've seen.
Was that Long Duck Chong? No.
I love that movie, Gore Forever.
That's a classic.
Yep. I'll say to Steve. Gore Forever. I like Trick or Treat. Tales of Halloween. Yeah, Killer in the Woods. Gore Forever.
Yeah.
Alice says you can only see his lightsaber. That was just a PSA for you few gals out there. So, like I said. All right. So, we're going for the fucking stream. We're going to move on. I'm embarrassed myself. Save me, Ryan.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
Just in case.
So, number 4. Another one that kind of surprised me a little bit, being just kind of like it's been said, I thought my top 5 would be set, and I thought they would all be 80s horror anthologies, without a doubt, hands down. And so it's kind of fun for me, sort of like the last one, as I was going through these things, discovering other anthology movies that were out there. This one completely took me by surprise, and I like every single segment in this movie of anthologies, but there's one that really stands out, and it's a black comedy, not necessarily horror, but it's a dark black comedy, 2014, out of Argentina, in a movie called Wild Tales. It's Spanish film. It's Spanish speaking film. This movie, I was surprised. Well, first of all, the thing that surprised me was all the awards that this movie has been nominated for, and I was like, how did I miss this? It's nominated for Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film. So really what it is this is a true anthology movie. All 6 segments, all of them are standalone. There is no frame. They don't wrap around to each other. And if you're a fan of anything that's really dark, for example, Black Mirror on Netflix,
yeah,
that totally inspired by this movie. The director of this, his name is Damien Cifron. He talked a lot about this movie. He's doing U.S. projects now. He totally admits that he was completely influenced by things like Amazing Stories, Twilight Zone, Tales from the Crypt. And these are all stories that kind of somehow have influenced them. And really what you get here is the absolute potential absurdity, depravity of the human condition and the human spirit. And it's just, there's revenge, there's just absolute violence, like a cathartic level of violence, and it just kind of, you get at the core of people when they go wrong. Think Falling Down, right? Think Falling Down, but on a much deeper, darker level. Whereas Falling Down really kind of had, there's reasons behind his actions. And you could kind of get, for those of you that don't know Falling Down, Michael Douglas, who just kind of is having a really bad day. He's trying to get home, and it starts with a traffic jam, and he just gets a baseball bat, and it goes downhill from there. Well, he kind of there's reasoning behind it. These guys capture what happens when people just lose their shit, and they just kind of totally zone into their reptilian brain. The best story in this thing, it's called El Más Fuerte. It's a road rage segment. And it starts with a dude who's driving a really fancy, nice Audi, and he passes by a guy in a little cheap, shitty car, and the guy's kind of weaving around, and it's just an old beat up car, and the guy basically just flips him off and just rips him a new one, and then tears forward. And then his car proceeds to break down at a bridge, and then the guy catches up with him, and then it just goes downhill from there. I really don't want to give away any spoilers, because everybody really needs to check this out. You won't miss anything with the subtitles. I'll give away one little bit. These two guys just kind of lose their shit going after each other because they both just let their rage take over them. And there's one scene where one of the dudes is in his car yelling at the other one. He's got the doors locked. The other guy's beating on his windows a few times with like a hammer. And then he proceeds to get on the hood of the car, and he takes a shit and pisses all over the guy's car while he's sitting in there, like looking out his window at him. But then there's one with like a bride. I mean, it's so well done. There's a lot of themes here, obviously, that he really captures about, that you could really, if you want to get deep with it, about capitalism and materialism and possessions and where we go. But by the way, the director said that whole scene, that one segment, was actually inspired by an actual road rage incident that he had, and he had to like immediately pull over and write it down because he knew it was going to be such a great story. But true anthology, if you haven't seen it, it is definitely worth a watch. You want to check it out. You will not be disappointed by any one of these stories, including, it almost made it to my top story, but I showed Alan the opening segment to this, which is just, you watch the opening scene to this and it'll set the tone for the entire movie, and you won't be disappointed by any one of them. So 2014 Argentinian film, Wild Tales.
That sounds pretty good, man.
Yeah, it's Brad. This movie would be right up. By the way, Brad, I got an extra one of these. I need to get to you to Pops to get to you, but
that's awesome.
You would love this.
Yes, it's a fun one.
I haven't seen that one. I definitely got to check that out.
Yeah, you watch people and you go, damn. But then you can like, oh, shit, I can see this happening.
Sounds like me.
Right?
Yeah, it sounds like Tuesday.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. Well, this ain't no funeral home. It ain't the Terradome neither. Welcome to hell, motherfuckers.
Oh, such a fun ass movie. No slip.
That is such a great damn movie.
Where's the slip? Whoa,
It won't play without the slip. Alan, you gotta send me it. It won't play without it. So the story I'm going to talk about is Hardcore Convert. And this has Jerome, a.k.a. Crazy K. He's driving around. He sees these guys that he wants to go after, some gang beef, whatever. Follows them, goes after them, starts shooting at them. They start shooting back. All this stuff happens. The cops show up, shoot Crazy K. And then all of a sudden, he wakes up and he's in this prison cell. And they tell him, look, we can send you through this like rehabilitation program. It's kind of unique and different and whatever. But, you just come with us and we'll give you your freedom if you like basically pass all these tests and stuff. And what you have is kind of like this a Clockwork Orange type scenario, where they send him to this, really creepy looking facility, out in the middle of nowhere. And it looks like a dungeon on the inside, like really, I mean, even more than not just a normal prison, but like a dungeon type place, and, they throw him they put Crazy K in this cell, like this cell that's super tiny too, almost like it's meant for like animals, like dogs or something. This really tiny cell, and they put him in there, and he's next to this white supremacist guy who has like all these, tattoos all over him and stuff. He's got Hitler and he's got all this stuff, and he's talking to Crazy K and telling him like, hey, I want you to be a part of my revolution, be a part of my army, I see that, you like killing black people and all this stuff. I want you to join my army. He shows him this tattoo, this knife, and stuff. And he's like, yeah, you can be a part of it.
And be careful. Be careful.
Right.
Don't read what the knife says, please.
Oh, no.
Right.
It's dark. It is hard to talk about these.
Oh, it's dark, man. It's hard.
Oh, yeah. Right.
They're
Exactly.
very dark stories. I mean, and Tales from the Hood is actually my favorite horror anthology. Like that's one that I love every single story. I like all four of them. I think are great. But they are hard to talk about. So, but yeah, he's telling you can be a part of my army and all this, and obviously Crazy K is offended. He punches the guy in the face, and he's bleeding or whatever, and the guy's telling him, I like you, man. Except for he doesn't say man. He's like, I like you, and so Crazy K's like, why you put me next to that guy? Don't put me next to that guy anymore. And now this is where a Clockwork Orange thing happens, where they take him down. They put him in this chair. They strap him down. First of all, he's naked except for this like little like thong underwear that he's got on. That's like all he's got on. The director even said they wanted him to be fully naked, but they didn't think they could get away with it because of the MPAA. They thought we don't want to fight with them about him being completely naked, so we'll just put this little thong on him. So he's completely naked except for this little black thong. And they strap him into this chair and they put this thing over his face and they make him watch all this crazy, like, all these racist, evil white people going around killing black people, lynching them, doing all these terrible things. And they're all real images too. That's the really freaky part, is these are all actual lynchings and beatings and terrible things that have happened to black people over the years. And then they splice in black on black gang violence to go along with it too. You know what I mean? So you have that whole thing going on. And, he's showing, basically they're showing him like look what you've been doing to your brothers and sisters, Crazy K. Like, you've been killing your own people, and like, don't you feel bad about that, or whatever? You can reform, you can change. And he's telling them like, no, fuck that, I don't want to change, I don't need to change. Like, what about my life? What about my shitty disposition? What about where I came from and all this? And he just starts going off, and he gets loose. He grabs one of the nurses and he's like, I'm going to kill this bitch if you don't let me the fuck out of here. And the lady's trying to say, but you can change. All you got to do is let her go. and you can change or whatever, and we can help you, and you can be free. And he's like, no, fuck that, I don't want to be free. And all the people, everybody there disappears, and it cuts back to Crazy K laying out on the street where he was shot, and he ends up dying right there on the street. So the whole thing was in his mind, that's like the whole thing. But it's interesting too, because it's like, well, if he had made a different decision, could he have lived on? Would they have saved him? Would something like a miracle have happened? Something like that. So it kind of makes you wonder. But this segment has a great soundtrack too. A lot of great rap songs and stuff in there. A lot of it's just, I don't know, it's just great all the way around. The whole thing's great, but it's very dark, just like A Clockwork Orange. You know what I mean? It's just one of those kind of things, and it is hard to talk about, but I love that segment because it's just so well written. It's very well acted too. The same with all of the segments, all the stories in Tales from the Hood. They're all very well acted, and they got great music. And Clarence Williams III, is kind of the crypt keeper type guy, is amazing. And that's one of my favorites. So Hardcore Convert, check that out. If you haven't seen it.
That's a great pick, man.
Really, it really is.
I actually watched that one again this afternoon. I've seen it before, but I've seen it in a long time.
Great pick.
So,
thanks.
That one got real close to making my top 5.
All right.
The last story.
My number 4 is from a VHS 94 from 2021. It's this release here. I didn't get slip. Shocker. This is Storm Drain, written and directed by Chloe Okono. Kind of guess. It's a little bit of a homer here. It takes place in Columbus, Ohio. It's shot in Toronto. And the movie follows a local news reporter on location to shoot a story of reports of a rat man monster living in the storm drains inside the city limits. Again, I'm from the Central Ohio area. We don't have gigantic storm drains. A big part of this is it's a homer for me. I'll be the first to tell you. She ends up wandering around in the storm drain system where the sightings supposedly take place after interviewing an armed local guide who's also there looking for the Ratma. The local points out where the storm drain is. He points at it with an AR-15. I'm like, they do know Ohio.
Right.
Really nice touch there. And the guy is super weird. And I'm like, yep, this is accurate. But I can tell you this: if there was ever even a hint of this creature living in the Central Ohio area, the movie the story would be over in 2 minutes. It wouldn't even take 2 minutes. Between the West Siders, the South End Hillbillies, the East Side Gangbangers, somebody would have that thing strapped to the hood of their rusted out shitbox car within hours of hearing about it. As long as there wasn't a school bus demolition derby going on that weekend, they would be preoccupied with that creature. I really, really enjoy it. All practical effects. She stumbles around down there and eventually finds a cult that worships the Ratma, a creature. Her cameraman gets killed. The Ratma, it has an enzyme where acid comes out of its mouth, this black paste that's acidic. Once it gets on you, it just burns right through you. And they sacrifice her cameraman. And then they set her up in front of it, and they basically tell her that the Ratma is going to judge you to see if you're going to be a part of the new world or not. And it kind of cuts to her getting rescued out of the storm drain, and her story is she got lost down there, and the cameraman's lost, and they never found him. And anyway, it ends with her back on the news, and everybody congratulating her for surviving and everything, welcome back and all that stuff. And it turns into like a D. Wallace like howling type ending. I won't spoil that ending, but that's the best part of the whole thing. But short and sweet, it's a very limited story. Like this girl who they call the director and writer, she just had an idea, and that's the whole story. It was just like, what if there was a rat monster in the storm drain? And that's it. They just made it. They just went, what a cute ass.
Okay, we'll go for it. All right.
Yeah. You get some face meldings and stuff, but like this is really a homer. Everybody may not get it, but Ratma, Real cool creature effects, all practical. It's a fun one, and I enjoyed it, and just the idea of what would happen to that thing if it was actually in Central Ohio. I mean, was hilarious enough to me, and I watched it a couple times. I had fun with it, so definitely check that out. Check that out. I think you can get this released for like $10.
No joke. 2 segments, or maybe 2 or 3 segments later, in that same anthology, Brad, I had the exact same reaction. And I won't spoil it for if anybody hasn't seen it. But there's a militia. There's a story about a militia. And being from BFE, Michigan, and as we call it, Militiagan, I was watching it with a bunch of people whom didn't know me, and I was like, this is a documentary. That's real. That's real. Those guys are real. That's I don't care that there's a vamp. That's them. They're real. That's my uncle. I can show you this guy.
Yeah.
It's like
it's a good one for sure.
I like that whole out of all of the VHS, the first one's always gonna be my favorite, but like of 94, 99, I thought 94 was so well done. All of their stories are just really crisp, clever.
Yeah, after 3 viral, which everyone pans, it's a return to form. 94.
Mm-hmm.
I think
it really is.
All the stories are pretty good in that one.
Yep.
All right, Gore, you still sober?
Rally, man, rally.
All's well. My 4 is was actually nicely touched upon in the intro. It's from Creepshow 2.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
The rat. So, just little back information for me. I've mentioned this before on different streams, maybe with you guys, maybe not. I'm a drunk. I don't know. Late 80s, there was here in New York, there was it was Channel 11. It was like a local station. They played horror films all the time, especially like in October. And I had a TV in my room. I had no cable, but Channel 11 was a basic cable station. And I had a TV in there because I had, some video games, and I would watch Channel 11 late at night, like stuff a towel on the bottom of the door so you didn't see light coming from my room. And they were obviously cut because it was like a cable thing, but the amount of things I saw on there were tremendous. I mean, they played everything from Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Streets, Creepshow, Halloween. I mean, they played everything. So while all cut up, The Raft was one of the first Creepshow segments I had seen. And again, just because I had to do it without getting caught, it just has always stuck with me. And it's such a great segment, even though Creepshow 2 isn't everybody's favorite. Everybody loves the first film more for sure. But it has 4 probably college kids age. They're going out to some lake. Closer to Halloween, the summer's over. They mentioned that as they're driving out there, wondering if this raft will even be in the lake still. And they say, yeah, it's there. The guy who takes care of the lake doesn't bring that in until pretty much the lake is frozen. And when they head out there, it's there, of course. They make their way out, and as they're swimming out there, they notice that a duck is struggling. One of the guys notices that it's struggling, and it just disappears, and it's kind of really strange. So as they get onto this raft, and one of the girls is still in the water, and it looks like a blob basically going through the water. If you saw the intro, you know what it looks like if you've never seen it. And they're screaming to one of the other girls in the water, get over here, swim. And one of the guys is like, it's just an oil slick, but nobody's ever seen an oil slick that just stays together like that and doesn't go. So as time goes on, this thing is obviously coming after them, and the special effects in it, if it touches you, like one of the girls is reaching down and touching it, and it basically gets onto her hand and her forearm, and it basically starts to melt.
Yeah.
Which is just fantastic.
Really good effect for that time back then.
Hell yeah.
Just
absolutely
effects, and it just gets fucking wild from there. And such a good segment. It's always stuck with me, and if you have never seen it, you have to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great one.
Absolutely great. I love the dude getting folded up, ripped through the
Oh,
raft.
And what a douchebag that guy was. What a douchebag.
Right.
And it's just like trash bags or something weaved together, but damn, it's effective. There's
It
like,
is. It is. And him getting just pulled through, because obviously it's a raft. If you've ever been on a raft in the middle of the lake, it's got the spaces between the wood boards. It's trying to like get through there to get who's on there, and once it gets a hold of him, it just drags him through the raft.
Right.
So good.
It's incredible.
And what an awesome, like, simple idea too. And it's just
that's what I love about it, man.
It sets like just classic terror.
Yeah.
I mean, spoiler alert, that's not my number one. It's not even in my top 5, but I think that's the best anthology segment ever. I mean, I really do think it's perfectly done. It's exactly as long as it needs to be. It's not my favorite, but there's no fat in it. There's nothing you could argue against it. It's incredible.
Yeah, even that very last shot, you get the sign that says "No swimming."
No swimming.
It kind of pans out. It's perfect.
But I mean, the effects in it are just tremendous. That you just see them it got this black stuff on it as it starts to pull away. It's just taking all their skin. It's taking the flesh. It's taking everything away from them, and it's just fucking screaming. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It might be happening in my other room right now. I don't know if you can hear what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Hold on.
You spill your orange water?
No, I lost my fucking notes there.
No, I just texted him again. We've been doing this for a month now. I've been trying to convince him that Armageddon is in fact not an anthology movie. He just asked me again.
It's a matter of opinion. All right, so Ryan, damn you. This is my number 4.
Oh wow!
Now, how I found out about this movie is I went down to Ryan's last Friday night to watch the movie. And he had just got this in from Amazon, and he didn't want to show me what it was, and he finally did. And we watched just the opening scenes. All we watched, and the opening scene was like, "Fuck, that's great." And so I ordered it right then, and I got it in a couple days ago. And my number 4 is the exact same story as Ryan's. It's the road rage story. It was fucking fantastic. This whole anthology is great. As soon as you watch the opening, it's not really a wraparound. It's just kind of the opening story. As soon as you watch that final shot before it pauses and you go to the credits, you're like, okay, I'm invested. I'm invested in this. There is subtitles. It's an Argentinian film, like Ryan said. I don't really want to go into spoilers either. I did take a shitload of notes here. I got a dissertation. I wrote about this because this is going to be hard to talk about, but I'm going to try to keep it simple. I don't want to ruin the ending. But let's just promise me that y'all are going to watch this, because this anthology is fucking great. Every story is great, but the road race story is just a little bit better than all the rest of them, I think, because I've had some stories that I could probably make into a fucking anthology and throw into this fucking movie. I really could. But I just don't want to. I want to hit a little bit more on what Ryan talked about the guy taking a shit on the hood of the car. Because I'm sitting here and I'm watching this movie, okay, and I'm just kicked back. As I'm watching the movie, I'm into it. And when this guy jumps up on the hood of the fucking car, he's a big burly dude. He jumps on the hood of the car. He drops his fucking drawers. He turns around. You get a full hairy ass shot. And I'm going, oh goddamn! He's fixing it. And he bends over, and you know what he's doing. And you think they're fixing to show this is an Argentinian film. Anything goes. And I think they're fixing to show this, and I'm sitting there turning my fucking head. And luckily, they span the camera back where the fucking rearview mirror blocks his asshole. But you see the fucking plops. Bloop, bloop. And it's real fucking disturbing.
Oh, God.
And let's just say that it's a money shot. It is worth the price of admission. I've never seen any shit like that before. No pun intended. But it was fucking great, man. It was absolutely fucking great. The way this movie ended, I really want to talk about it. I really do, but I don't want to spoil it. But the way this movie ends, the very last fucking shot, what the people that are there, what they say at the very end, It's a crime of passion.
Yeah, that's all you need to know.
Great way to end it. It was a perfect anthology segment. And anybody that's ever driven a car has had road rage. I have had my fair share. And let's just say that the way that you have one guy that drives a brand new Audi. You can tell he's kind of a prick. He's kind of a uppity rich guy driving a brand new fucking Audi. He's going down this desert road. You got this guy in a fucking piece of shit fucking car. He's trying to pass him. They're in the middle of a desert nowhere, a desert road. He's trying to pass the guy. Every time he goes to go around him, the guy swerves to try not to let him pass him. And so he finally gets up next to him. He basically shoots the guy a bird, calls him a fucking redneck, which I didn't know Argentina even had fucking rednecks. Called him a fucking asshole, whatever, shoots him a bird and goes on, which we've all done. But this guy goes, he's driving. You can tell it's been a little while. He's driving down the same road. He gets a flat tire on his brand new fucking Audi. He pulls over. He's trying to change the fucking tire. And this guy's going to show up. And all of a sudden you see this guy's piece of shit car coming around the corner. And this fucking pussy changing his fucking tire. He's only put he's put the new tire on, but only put like one lug nut on. He goes and gets back in his car. The guy pulls up next to him, trying to get him to get out of the fucking car. He's beating the windshield with a fucking crowbar. Then he takes the shit on the hood. All this kind of stuff, whatever. And then I can't talk anything more than that because you just got to watch it yourself. Like I said, it's a simple story, but it's really, really fucking enjoyable. I've watched it twice. I watched it a second time just to make sure I didn't miss anything because I was going to go deep. Like I said, I took notes. I took a fucking screen. But since Ryan didn't spoil it, I'm not going to spoil it, and we're going to leave it at that. But y'all need to get this. This was fantastic. This is the best part of doing this kind of stream is finding something like this that I would have bought, never even heard of.
Yep, I agree.
Really every story's good. Every story could have been in this top 5. So
it's really amazing.
I'm real bad about overhyping shit when I really like something, but I do feel like you guys would really like that one.
Yeah.
So
we talked about this before the stream. It's really amazing the level of notes that we're taking on 20-minute segments.
Right.
Because there's not much story there, but there's tons of notes.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, I'm sitting there I'm just like in the zone watching the movie. When the dude bent over and you got full hairy ass shot, I had to turn my head. I said, he's fixing the fucking. They're going to show this. And,
yeah,
and it was rough. It was rough.
Yeah, he first jumps up there. You're like, no, what? No, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, we're doing this, and it really is. It shows you. It's weird because it's at one level you're like, it's so absurd, it never could happen, but it really kind of shows you like both of these guys have been kind of like, they've got their own, they've gone so far, there's no turning back now. Like there's no reining it in. Like it's just it's completely taken over.
The best part about it is it's so realistic because there's a scene in it. I don't want to give you the context, but they're both in a close range environment. They both have a weapon, and they're just going back and forth, beating the piss out of each other. And you can tell they have no leverage to really get a good fucking whack. So they're both just beating the piss out of each other. They have no fucking arm room to move around, and it's so fucking funny. Yeah, y'all go watch it, dude.
I look forward to checking that out. I look forward to
I think Ryan, what was this on Amazon? Like $15, maybe less.
Maybe 12 something. Yeah, I bought a bunch of them to hand out. Yeah.
All right, let's get caught up on the chat here. Brian, when I seen you show that, I thought, oh shit, he's gonna pick road rage. I know he is.
I mean, but you had a really good point, Alan, though, because like as soon as I watched that opening segment, I was like, I couldn't wait to show it to you. It grips you so well. And it's not, the more I think about it, it's like, okay, it's kind of maybe it's like a done idea, but it was done so well. By the way, with that opening segment, and since it was neither one of our picks here, so I'll just set it up. The opening segment is a woman, she gets on a plane, she sits down, and then all of a sudden you realize that as this plane is taken off and it's flying around, that every single person on this plane knows the same person somehow. And so somehow they've all landed on this plane knowing the same person. And I'll just leave it from there. But there's a lot of little hints and Easter eggs in that opening scene, Alan, that we both missed. That when I was researching for this, that I caught, and I'll let you know off screen.
But that final shot before the credits, right then this is going to be great. All right, let's catch up on the chat. I'm getting sidetracked. I'm getting excited. I got a buzz and I'm getting excited. That's another good sign. All right, let's see. I think that's where we left off at. Hagen said, love these top 5s. Get to add some new things to the watch list.
Oh, yeah.
I want to point something out. Most of our streams are usually 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. They're late. And we have like 40, 50 people in here. We're doing this at 9 o'clock. We have like at one time we had 13 people. Now we have 17. But I feel like most of our viewers are still in their coffin.
Yeah, they're not up yet.
So it's going to be interesting to see in another hour whether it jumps up in views when all of our freaks come out.
Gotta make it interesting.
Yeah.
That's my fault. I had to get my drinking started early.
Oh, you're good, man. Like I said, we're just glad to have you, man. Hell, we'll change it 9 o'clock every time if you can get on.
Yep.
Like I said, been wanting to check out Tales from the Hood. Got to get the Blu-ray from Scream Factory. Yeah, it's a fantastic artwork, man. I wish Scream Factory was still. I don't want to sidetrack, but I wish they still did that kind of artwork for all their releases.
They need to.
Why the fuck did they ever stop that?
Yep.
Yeah.
They don't want to pay artists. That's why.
And didn't that guy that dude, the main guy on the cover there, Clarence Williams III, didn't he just pass away like this year?
Yeah, just recently, I think. Yeah.
You're right.
I don't remember what.
Chuck's right though. I mean, that's the problem is they're not hungry anymore. You know, they don't need to impress anybody anymore.
Right.
Scream Factory has kind of become like that band that's been around forever. They have a ton of fans. They're just like, you know what? Whatever the fuck we do, people are gonna buy it.
Yeah, but you too.
You're talking about Metallica, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they're just coasting. They
I
just
love-
coast.
Christy, the Slasher Dudes. I guess he didn't change his name, but I still know it's you, Chris. Yeah, I've never watched Tales from the Hood either. Need to check it out.
Oh yeah,
it's great.
Steve, what's going on, Steve?
Hey, Steve.
What's happening?
Steve hung out with us all night last night. What's up, Alan?
Hey, Alan.
Hey, Helen.
They're saying, hey, hope everyone's having a splendid weekend so far. Yeah, it's been good so far, man.
It has been
A lot of live streams this weekend. Yeah, I mean, how long? It usually takes me 30 minutes to go through the chat between each pick, and we're done. All right, our number 3 pick.
Shit, we're already number 3. All right, number 3. We sort of touched on these guys a little bit. We haven't hit this movie yet, but we have talked about the VHS series, so this is about to tie into it. And I think somebody mentioned a little bit. It might have been in Brad's intro. 2015 horror anthology thriller, I guess you could also call it too. Anthology series, Southbound.
Oh yeah,
that's a great one.
It blows my mind how many people don't know about this movie but know about VHS. Written, directed, produced by they're called Radio Silence. For VHS, they were known by their regular names. I think they went by Matt, Chad, and Rob. I think so. It's a 4-part anthology series. The anthology does tie into each other, but they do it in a way that they're still separate stories, and it's just very cleverly done. The stories that I like, I'm sort of cheating here a little bit, but it's the first story and the last story because they actually tie to each other. The first one's called The Way In, and the second one is called The Way Out. And the way that this starts is you got 2 guys in a pickup truck. They're driving down like this deserted desert highway. They're both just completely fucked up. They're bleeding. You can tell they're beaten up. And there's one dude in the right seat. He's looking at the picture of a little girl. You can pretty much guess right quickly that it's his daughter. And then there's these weird creature things that are sort of following them off in the distance. They end up at like a gas station diner, and then that just kind of starts to loop from there. They can't get their way out, and then you get into each one of the stories after that. Without really spoiling anything here, I'm not going to give too much away by saying this. It kind of becomes evident that all of these sort of stories are tied together because of maybe where they are. You're not sure, like, if this is hell or if this is purgatory or what's really going on. But the way in and the way out bookend this whole thing, and the way that it's done is very clever because you get it's very anachronistic. So the beginning of the movie is explained by the end, and so it wraps around to where you find out where these 2 guys come from at the very end of the movie. So you get how I'm trying to figure out a way to do it without giving away too much for anybody that hasn't seen this. But it kind of goes back to sort of like Wild Tales. It's very dark. The reason the very last story is there's this family. It's a husband and wife, and then a daughter, like a teenage daughter. They're at like a little resort, maybe like an Airbnb, kind of maybe like a hotel. You can't really tell. They pull in, doorbell rings. There's a bunch of guys out there in masks. It sort of feels very much like a break-in or vengeance violence movie. They don't say anything. They're just staring at him. They terrorize him for a little while. And then you eventually find out that why they're there and what the father did to draw them there. And then it gets really, really fucking dark from there. And then the creatures sort of start to play into it from there. But exceptionally well written, exceptionally well acted. All of these stories tied together. I feel like these guys, I mean, the VHS series I love, but I feel like these guys really went back to their roots with Southbound. What really makes these stories good to me is they're not really definitively ended. There's no clean ending to it, and that feels very intentional. That these stories just sort of end, and there's no like purpose to it or rhyme to it, and so you're sort of left. You're not left disappointed, but you're sort of left bothered by it in all the right ways. If you want to think about like a dark, deep horror movie, but for those that haven't seen it, and I keep running across people that like they know all the VHS movies, but they've never heard of Southbound. Check it out. You will not be disappointed by this movie.
That's killer, man. It's really good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that anthology. And I watched it for the first time getting ready for the stream. First time I'd ever seen it.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen it, you can watch it on Tubi as well.
That's why I watched it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
And I ordered it, but it ain't come in yet.
Yeah, because I think the Blu-ray is just that overseas release, I believe, right? And then there's a DVD.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an American DVD release that you can get, but yeah.
But the Blu-ray is the only one that I know of is the overseas one.
Yeah,
That's the one I know of.
But they say you should always check your candy, kids. Trick or treat. Now this kind of falls into that camp where you guys were talking about, where it kind of just feels like its own movie, but it does break it up into segments, but they all tie into each other, and it's kind of weird, you know. But I had to talk about Principal Wilkins because I absolutely love Principal Wilkins, played by Dylan Baker. I just think he's hilarious, man. I mean, this is one of those ones that's just really funny to me, you know, but it's dark too. It's very like dark humor. I mean, you know, when, Brett Kelly, the actor that plays the kid in Bad Santa, comes up and he's knocking all those pumpkins down on the way. You know, the principal's like, you know, get over here. What are you doing? Sit next to me, you know, take a seat, you know, on the stoop here or whatever. And they're, you know, he gives them like, you know, he's talking to him about, you know, always check your candy and all this stuff. And he gives him a piece of candy to eat, you know, this chocolate bar. And he's munching on it, and he's telling them about Halloween traditions and stuff. And the kid's just eating it, you know, he's still like, you can tell he's still like a portly guy, you know what I mean? Even a little bit older from, he's still heavy set, and he still plays that role pretty good. And yeah, he's eating the candy bar, and then out of nowhere, he just starts throwing, and it's a lot of vomit. I mean, he's just throwing up this like blood and chocolate just all over the place or whatever. And he just, you know, falls over dead, and you're like, holy shit, okay, so this principal is just insane. You know, if you're watching this for the first time, I mean, I'm telling you, yeah, it's dark, but it's comical, so it works really well. And, you know, then he takes him, he's trying to haul him because he's a big boy, you know, so he's trying to like haul him in his house, he's dragging him over. And the whole time his kid's bugging him, like, when are we going to carve the pumpkin, Daddy? When are we going to carve the jack-o'-lantern? What are we going to do? Are we going to go trick-or-treating? And he's like, yeah, in a minute. Relax. And he's dragging the fat kid in there, and then he's got even more dead kids out in his backyard as well. So like he's going out there to like, you know, bury him, and then one of the kids, his hand just comes out, and it's like a little, you can tell he was dressed as like a clown, and his hand's up there, and you know, the neighbor comes out and he's like, what the hell are you doing over there, Wilkins? And he's like, nothing, don't worry about it. You just hear the kids screaming, but muffled. And he just takes that shovel, and he's just like almost like decapitating the kid basically. And it's just so funny. I mean, you know, and then the whole time the kid's like, the kid Billy's, you know, asking his dad, when are we going out? And Wilkins tells his kid Billy, he's like, go watch Charlie Brown. And Billy says, Charlie Brown is an asshole. There's just so much good comedy in there. And let's see, yeah. And then Wilkins just starts like mimicking his son at a certain point because he's just getting so fed up with him. And he's like, Daddy, want to carve a pumpkin? Daddy, want to go to the parade? Daddy, I wish Mommy was still alive. It's just like, Jesus Christ. And then, you know, you find out this whole time that, spoilers again, but once you kind of got to go into it. He goes downstairs where the kid's at, and he's got a knife behind his back, and he's slowly approaching his son, and you think he's going to kill his son, but then it turns out that they're actually carving that fat kid's face, into like a jack-o'-lantern or whatever, and he's grooming his little boy to be a serial killer. And it's just like takes a whole nother turn. I mean, it's already dark. I mean, he just poisoned a kid. He like killed another kid with a shovel, and he's got a bunch of other kids buried in his backyard. And then he's also grooming his son to be a serial killer. So it's just like, holy shit. But yeah, I love that segment. Everything with him. The whole movie's great, but everything with Mr. Wilkins is just phenomenal, So yeah, that's my pick.
And by the way, we prefer to be called fluffy or girthy.
Yeah.
Fat ass.
Horizontally challenged.
Horizontally challenged.
He does such a good job.
And you nailed it, man. So Dylan Baker's performance in this movie is phenomenal, and he really sells it. For people that don't know who this is, he is a mainstream actor. I think he was in Road to Perdition. He was in a couple of the Spider-Man movies, which is obviously. I think he was in Requiem for a Dream. But he's done a ton of shit, and a lot of people recognize him as my character actor. But he goes, and I'm sure part of this is directing, but it's seamless how he goes from like he's completely innocuous, and you're like, okay, this dude's a principal. He's like a teacher, like what you would expect him. And he without being real obvious, he goes from like innocuous to just bloodthirsty, diabolical, straight into comedic horror. I mean, and he does it so well, where you're like, and this is the great scene, like when he's in the pit with the kids, and he's like this exhausted dad, but who's also like having to like beat these kids and he sells it. He sells it so well.
Yeah.
And he's just the acting on his end in the entire series is fantastic.
Yeah, he's got a lot of charisma to him, so you're kind of just naturally drawn to him. You want to like him, but he's just doing all of these awful things. But that's why the actor is perfect. It's great casting.
Oh, yeah, it was perfectly cast. I can't think of anybody else that would have played that role better than he did.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome book, man.
It's a classic. Well, my number 3 is a return to the VHS series.
Oh yeah. You're
3 for 3 so far. From VHS 2 from 2013. That's this release. Yep, scored a slip for once.
Yes.
Nice.
This is Safe Haven.
Oh yeah.
Written and directed by Gareth Evans. He did the Raid 2, both great movies. Takes place and is shot in Indonesia. The first one to go abroad, to leave the continental United States. A news crew in Indonesia is invited by the leader of an Indonesian cult after reports of abuses in the cult. Eventually, they discover a full-on suicide death cult summoning a demonic flying goat monster. The end.
Daddy?
Do you need more? I mean, do you need to know more?
I'm sold already.
From the time they meet the cult leader, they meet him at this like juice bar. He's drinking a glass of milk. And just the way he's describing it, he's just like, I don't think you should come see it. And they kind of talk him into it. And they go there to interview him. They're setting up and they're trying to put a mic on him. And they're like, is this blood? he's bleeding under his shirt. And he's
no.
He's just like, just somebody like, get away from me. And he's just explaining it. And more things, weird things are happening. They're feeding the kids. There's kids in there. They're all, it's juice time. It becomes, pretty evident that there's something really bizarre happening, and it turns into this crazy melee, like suicide cult. They just at one point, the guy turns a corner, and there's like just a bunch of dudes in there standing, and they all blow their brains out at the same time. I mean, it just continues.
It's a great shot.
It's a crescendo the whole way. It never lets up. Once it starts going, it never lets up. And it just, around every corner is something more and more insane and bizarre. And by the time it ends, the lead character that you're following, the reporter, he's just had it. He's just done. And the expression and everything, the pawpaw scene. Come on, man. I love this segment. This is the most recommended VHS segment. I recommend this to anybody. it's a blast. It's worth getting this Blu-ray just for that segment alone. It's insane. It is so much fun. And yeah, totally foreign production, even though it's a U.S. director. There is a Indonesian director that's tied to it. I believe that's how it works in Indonesia. You have to have kind of a token Indonesian person as a director and co-director. You can't shoot there, so that's kind of where that came from. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. It's great.
Yeah, that was in my top 5 found footage. That's one of my
Yep. One of my favorite parts of that segment is when the two people are off, and of course they're off camera, but yet still on camera, arguing about the fact that he got her knocked up and that's his best friend. You know, the kids are starting to drink the Jim Jones juice. Like, everything's starting to go downhill. And they left this one poor sap with the nutball fucking cult leader. Like, everybody else is taken off. And he's sitting there across the desk from the guy. And the guy's, like, clearly starting to go crazy. And he's, like, looking around for, like, his fucking film crew buddies. Like, should I ask you some? So what do you think about running? How do you like running a cult?
Yeah.
Like, and the dude's on the phone, like, now is it time? It's time. Okay, it's time. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
The time has come, and he just starts eviscerating him with a big box cutter. I mean, it's like I said, around every turn, more horror, more insanity, and it culminates with explosions. And
yeah, the explosion is fantastic. What a great looking shot!
Yeah, man. Right. I just feel maybe some people haven't seen it. One of the ones I really don't want to spoil totally, but it is worth the price of admission. Buy it. Amazon, very cheap. Still comes with the slip. Check it out.
I think the greatest shot is when everybody blows their head off at the same time. That one shot where everybody, boom, everybody
all together. Down.
Yeah. It's such a cool looking shot.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Yeah, great pick, man.
Number 3 for me, I think, is a big fan for everybody because there's 3 segments in it, and they all star the same actress. Trilogy of Terror.
Yeah.
Great
and classic.
Go with is Amelia. In Amelia, Karen Black buys a like Zuni fetish doll. It's this little tiny statue, maybe about like that big.
Yeah.
Of it's a pretty famous thing. And actually, if you've ever seen what the fuck is that release? Attack of the Beast Creatures from Vinegar Syndrome. If you've seen that one, actually it's Agfa, I think. I don't fucking know who released that. I'm not even talking about that. Shut up. Anyway, all those dolls that look exactly like the doll from this film. It's completely inspired by this film. And in this film, this little doll that she has, she bought it for like her boyfriend or whatever. It's got a gold chain around it, and the story behind it's got a scroll with it saying if this gold chain comes off, the warrior soul inside of it will be released, and it's there for protection. Of course, it comes off, and this little doll, and it's actually really well done. This movie's made in the 70s. This is 1975. That they have this doll running around with like a spear, grabbing steak knives and stuff, trying to kill Karen Black, is so well done and so entertaining. And no matter what she does, she drowns it. She does all kinds of shit to it, but I can't even remember right now because I'm drunk.
Stabs it.
She stabs it, all kinds of crap
Burns
to it. Will not die. And it's really well done. And the picture of her that you see is basically what happens to her. She finally gets the upper hand on this doll, and this doll soul of this warrior possesses her. And this is what it turns into. Such a great segment. Karen Black was such a tremendous actress from all the things she did.
Hell yeah.
The 3 segments in this are all her. She's the main character in all 3 segments. But I mean, everybody knows her maybe from like House of 1,000 Corpses, but like Burnt Offerings and films like that. She was even Auntie Lee's Meat Pies. I mean, let's get real. She was able to that fucking thing. So, great. This was released by Kino. If you've never seen it, definitely pick it up. And you'll
I need that doll to put on this back shelf back here and get sit next to my Joe Spinell doll I got from
Right. Hell yes.
That's Spinell doll.
That's a Kino release. I need to get that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Kino released it.
I love that movie, man.
What the fuck did this come? Doesn't say anything about... Okay, well, all right. It's a 4K scan. It's a Blu-ray. So there's a chance they will put this out on 4K if they have the rights still.
Oh, there's a chance, huh?
I don't know when. But if you don't care about 4K, pick up the Blu-ray.
I would double dip that anyway. So
yeah, I want to backtrack just a minute back to Anthony's pick earlier for Tales from the Crypt. When I watched that, I was actually at work and I watched movies during lunch or whatever, and I watched Tales from the Crypt whatever on the streaming service. It wasn't one of the major services. It looked like absolute shit.
Trick or Treat, not Tales from the Crypt.
Are you talking about Trick or Treat or Tales from the Hood?
Back a few picks, whatever. When he picked Tales from the Crypt,
Tales from
the Dark Side, Tales from the Hood. That one. Tales from the Hood. Fuck. Tales from the Hood.
You've been drinking more than me, clearly.
I watched that on streaming first. And it looked like absolute shit. Then I watched the Scream Factory edition. The Scream Factory edition looks so much fucking better.
Oh yeah.
Than anything you can find on streaming. We're talking about night and day. You almost can't even see the characters on the streaming. It's so bad. It's so dark. That Scream Factory release looks fantastic compared to anything on streaming for that movie. I just wanted to bring that up.
There's a lot of that with streaming. I mean, shit. Even it's Crypt of the Living Dead. I have it on. It's a Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray. There was a stream of that on Amazon Prime for free. It was in black and white. The film was in color.
Right.
Shit.
I
Fuck it. We ain't paying for color.
All right. So back on topic here. Sorry, I had a thought in my head and I shared it and then I fucked it up and there we are. All right. So this was already been said again. You guys keep stealing my fucking picks. But there's no way I could do a top 5 without mentioning this one here. This goes back to my childhood. I used to watch this and show it to anybody I could show it to because it was one of my favorite anthology pieces of all times, and that's The Raft.
Oh yeah.
From Creepshow 2. Man, there's no way. As soon as I did this top 5, I said, okay, I don't know where it's going to land, but it's going to be in my top 5.
Yeah.
By the way, I love this fucking release, by the way.
Arrow killed it.
1987. Overall, Creepshow 2 is not my favorite out of the two. I do prefer Creepshow 1, but The Raft is where it's at. This movie was directed by Michael Gornick. Now, Michael Gornick, he was for all you nerds out there, he was a news reporter on the radio during Dawn of the Dead, and he was also the director of photography on Day of the Dead. So him and George Romero were pretty tight. So that's probably how he got this directing gig. You have 4 characters here. Like I said, Chuck's already covered this pretty well, so I don't need to go too deep into it. But basically, I got a few little interesting tidbits about the movie, if anybody cares. You got 4 characters here. You got Deke, Randy, Lorraine, Laverne, and Rachel. And Deke and Randy, whenever Randy came in to audition, he first auditioned for the character of Deke. He didn't get the part of Deke; he got the part of Randy. So, which I guess makes sense. Deke's kind of the jock. Randy didn't really come across as a jock type character. But the movie, the segment was written by Stephen King, and the screenplay was done by George Romero. It was shot at a place called Granite Beach Lake in Prescott, Arizona. Now, when they get in this water, I've never been to Arizona. When they get in this water, it's like so fucking cold. They're like freezing to death. I can't imagine anything in Arizona being cold. No. I may be wrong. But when I think Arizona, I think the Mojave Desert. And like I said, I've never been there.
Northern Arizona.
Yeah. But that being said, Daniel Beer, who played Randy in the segment, almost died from hypothermia. So I guess I'm wrong. The water was so cold, his body turned green. The crew wanted him to continue acting, but director Michael Gornick said that so they get if he keeps working, basically he's going to walk. And so they ended up taking him to the hospital. He did full recovery. They came back and finished the shot. Makeup artist Ed French left the film amidst filming of The Raft after being snubbed by director Michael Gornick, who turned to Howard Berger for advice on how to fix the blob monster in the lake instead of French. Berger and Greg Nicotero finished the remaining effects on the film without French. So he got pissed off and left. Greg Nicotero came in and kind of took his place. Stephen King wrote an outline for the movie, which George A. Romero then adapted into a screenplay. The second of the 3 segments, The Raft, is based on King's short story of the same name from 1982. The other 2 segments were of the Creepshow 2 was original stories for the movie. Deke and Randy, this is deep nerd shit if anybody cares. Deke and Randy call each other by the nicknames Poncho and Cisco. These 2 character names are borrowed from the Cisco Kid, 1950. The television show playing in the background during the first segment, Old Chief Woodenhead. So for whatever reason, these motherfuckers went balls deep on fucking the Cisco Kid. I don't know why. Laverne's shirt she's wearing like this sweatshirt that has a university name on the front. Laverne's Horlick University shirt. Horlick, which is I just realized that's funny. Horlick University. I just said it out loud. That's actually funny. Okay, so Horlick University, which I have a master's degree from, is a reference to the original short story that segment is based on, called The Raft, which appears in the Stephen King collection Skeleton Crew. In the story, the characters mentioned they are students there. It has been referenced in others' work by Stephen King, including the Crate segment of the original Creepshow, as well as the novel Christine. That university is mentioned in both those other segments and movies. I already said that part. And of course, the very end, I said earlier, whenever Chuck was talking about it, my favorite shot is the pull away scene where you see the no swimming sign. It just kind of wraps it up in a fine little bow. It's a great anthology. Like Brad said, there's no fat on the bone. There's no fat. It's right to the point. It's short and sweet. It's what an anthology needs to be. And back in the day, I watched that so many fucking times. I showed it to so many of my buddies back in the day. And it used to come on HBO. I think about every third hour it would come on. Uh-huh. And I used to watch it all the fucking time. And like I said, there was no way I couldn't mention this in the top 5 and be able to sleep at night. So that's my number 3.
It was one of our very early movie store Betamax rentals that my cousin and I would rewind and watch over and over and over again because it was so damn well done.
And truthfully, did it deserve to be in my top 5? Did I see other shit that probably could have been there? Probably so. But like I said, I feel like I owe it to be in my top 5 because I had such a love for it, such a nostalgia for it. I've seen some other ones, probably some of the VHSs Brad had mentioned, probably should have been in the place of The Raft as far as being better. But for me, this is kind of geek level for me.
But
it's just
before, like it's done so well, it just sticks with you.
And it really does.
It's 1987. How many years later is it now? It still sticks in your brain. And even without watching it, preparing for this, if somebody said it to you, you can literally see the.
But it's that one shot. It's when the guy wakes up the next morning, and he's following that fucking girl, whatever, and you're sitting there going, "What the fuck's he doing?" And all of a sudden, this girl turns around and she's got that shit all over her face, man. It's such a fucking great shot.
Yeah.
87, man. These special effects were pretty next level for 87.
Exactly. Even today.
Even today.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know that I've heard that. I think Alan's told me this before. That apparently Tom Savini has got kind of a reputation for not being the nicest guy now that he's gotten John Carpenter to himself and Greg Nicotero. But it really shows you the skill of those guys to be able to pull off what they've been pulling off for as long as they have, without CGIing everything.
Yeah.
It's funny. Everybody says that about Tom Savini. I'm sure there have been a lot of bad encounters, but I actually saw him last year. He was at this horror convention, and he did a panel, and he was like really nice. I mean, he said, "I will keep answering questions as long as you guys keep asking me questions."
Yeah. See, so, I'd like to think that he's not. And I know you hear things. Maybe you catch him on a bad day, but he doesn't. You would hope a lot of these guys, it's horror, man. You would hope that these guys, it sounds weird to say this, but a lot of these guys, you think about, like the guys that Roger Corman, without him, would have never had their start, like that they really need to be humble about where they came from and what they do now when, like B horror movies, you're making 15 grand off of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And people were so afraid to ask him questions. I ended up asking him like 3 questions because people were just like, I'm like, the guy
get their head bitten off by Tom Savini. Yeah.
All right. Just ask him anything, whatever. Talk about The Burning, Friday the 13th.
First question. Can I refer to you as Sex Machine from here on out?
Yeah. Right. You have to be Sex Machine.
I mean, he's done so many things,
Yeah.
Crazy.
Why do you like to tumble? Why do you like to tumble so much? What is it about somersaulting
Right.
that interests you so much? Every movie.
I mean, I've never met Savini, but I can imagine that one of the things he may, like I said, like, oh, people think he's a dick or how he acts and whatnot. He probably is at these conventions and 3 hours into it, everybody comes to the table. Hi, big fan. Like, okay, yeah,
right.
Buy the book.
Right.
One thing that people don't realize about Tom Savini, first of all, he's from Pittsburgh. That's a tough town. He's lived there his whole life. 2, he's a fossil. He's ancient. He doesn't look near as old as he is. And
He really is, yeah.
His hands are shot. He can't work anymore. He can't do the effects anymore. His hands are done. And he has a school that he teaches the stuff at. You just got to imagine he's watching movies. He can't participate in it anymore. He can't do what he used to do. He used to just pull up in a trailer with all of his goop and stuff and work on the set and do the movie. He can't do any of it anymore. So
he was born in 1946.
Yeah.
So what's he, 70, 73 or 78?
80, whatever he is.
Yeah, he's almost 80.
Like that. Either way, I mean, even with that, I mean, just having him on a set consulting like that's what sucks about with Rick Baker being screwed over so many different times and whatnot. Fuck you, Hollywood. But what he can do, I mean, still with Rick Baker and American Werewolf in London, I mean, that was 1981. That transformation is still probably the best werewolf transformation ever done.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It would win awards now.
Yeah, and he's not involved with those things anymore. Like I don't know what he would do, but you still see him posting and whatnot. I'd love to see some independent thing approach him and say, we're not Hollywood, we're not this, we're not that, we can't pay you like that, but we would just love to have you involved. I think he would do it.
I bet he would too.
Yeah.
I mean, second best. Let's not get crazy. Second best wolf transformation. Wolf Cop from Canada. That is the best. I've never seen a transformation of a werewolf start at the dick.
But let's be honest. If they were real, it would start with the dick. We all know that.
Right? I'm actually between Luke Skywalker's lightsaber.
Oh, if only my Schwartz was as big as yours.
Oh shit! All right, let's get caught up with the chat here.
Oh, people are still here. Thank you.
Yeah, we're still live,
watching
we're still live. Alex says one thing about drinking during the live stream. By the way, I really don't give a fuck. I normally do.
This is not good.
And I hope that's not a bad thing, but I'm so much more relaxed than I normally am.
All right,
So
we're going to wrap it up. Everybody shorten their.
This
might be the secret to YouTube right here.
Yeah.
Stay lubricated.
Why the hell do you think the way I am?
Now
Alex, I love when Alex gets excited about a title. You totally sold me on checking out Wild Tales. Yeah, check it out, man. That's a great one.
I'm excited to watch it as well.
You will not be disappointed. I promise it.
Yeah,
it's my biggest surprise out of all these.
If you don't like it, I'll buy your copy. I'll say that.
Oh shit! He's gonna get fucking 30 people saying, "Hey, I didn't like it."
I didn't say you'd find me. I just said I'd do it.
Right.
Chris says, "Yo, Wild, have to check out your movie." Jason says, "Added Wild Tales to my watch list." Hell yeah. Chris says, "Scissor that like button."
Right on.
Hagen says, "Papa."
Yep.
Papa.
Hell yes. The found footage cult Demon Child.
Yeah.
So good.
There's a classroom they go into as well. They all did in that.
Oh yeah, every turn.
Yep.
So you all have a good night. Catch you on the next one.
No, see you.
All right, man. Take care, buddy. You must be at work. All right, Jay said the doll freaked me out as a kid.
Oh yeah, that doll's relentless. It never stops.
Mm-hmm. Going on, Gizmo. Anthony, do you know where I can order rudimentary paste?
I'll get back to you.
Steve says, Gore Forever, I want to personally thank you for putting me on to countless titles being released. Without your IG updates, I would have missed the boat on plenty.
Yeah, that's true, dude. Yeah, man. Absolutely.
That's very true.
I'll second that.
Yeah, man.
The Google of Gore.
Jason, thanks for the ride, lady. Yeah, that's another good one.
Oh, yeah. I love that bit.
You know what's funny about that segment, though? And I hate to ruin this for people. I mean, because I love it. I love that segment.
Don't do it.
I was watching it. Should I not say it, Chuck?
Say
You
it.
know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, don't do it.
Okay, I won't even say it. I won't say. You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
You can say it. You can say it.
Say it, dude. I know what you're. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's. so when she's looking out the back window, and there's supposed to be like, she's looking where's the zombie guy? Where's he at? There's clearly this extra. His head is right out the back window. You can see it in like the top. I think it's like the top left-hand corner. You can see his head just right there. And that's all you can see. You just see his head. And you're like, what the fuck? Who's that? That's not the zombie guy. It's just some white dude's head. Like, it's his face. And it's just right there in the back window, and it's just right in the corner. And I'm telling you, it's right after she first sees the zombie guy. And then she pulls over her car. And then she looks right out the back window, and then you just see that guy and some white dude's head just right there out the back window. And it must be an extra or maybe even the director. I don't know who it is, but he's just right there. I don't know.
I remember seeing that and thinking, like, it was so obvious. I remember I was like, maybe it's me. Like, is that supposed to be there? Because it clearly wasn't just like it couldn't have been a fuck up because it was so obvious. I mean, it's right
I
there.
know. I don't
You're
get
like,
it though, because it's who else?
You're like, is that like another hitchhiker? I don't know.
It's the killer from I Know What You Did Last Summer.
It's just the guy. we
You wear a slicker?
No, man.
Yeah. Well, once you see that,
there's
you
no
won't- you'll
4-minute
never
abs.
unsee it. Yeah. I wonder if in the original cut, or when this was maybe the way it was filmed, or maybe the way it was shot, or maybe it cropped it out in the old version, like the old VHS version or something. Maybe you couldn't see that. And then when they did the nice HD wide version, maybe then you could see him in frame or something. I don't know.
But it is just kind of crazy to think about. I do this when I'm reading books and you catch errors and you think about how many people laid eyes on this and it still got missed. And they must do it to themselves. You're like, how the fuck did we miss that? We watched 85 takes of this,
right.
900 dailies, editing for a half a year, and yet nobody saw it.
Yeah. And the thing is, no one told me about that. I was watching it, for this stream, getting ready, and I saw it. I mean, it's clear as day, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" And I was shocked that I had never noticed it before, but this time it was just clear as day.
Right.
What happens when you finally when you see something like that after how many times have you seen it? And
right.
That.
Yep.
Well, if it's not a Starbucks cup with Khaleesi, then it's nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Which was fantastic, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
Absolutely.
Raider 666, watching Creep Show 2 as we speak. Nice.
Coco.
What's going on, Coco?
What's up?
Go.
Raider says House of the Dead is an underrated anthology. Raider says, I'm sorry that Thing in the Water didn't look like anything but garbage spaghetti.
But that garbage spaghetti did some awesome damage.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not about the
Scared
Thing
the
in the
shit
Water.
out of
It's
me.
about the effects when it got a hold of your ass. That's when it paid off.
I mean, it's the blob in a pond.
Yeah, it's basically,
I mean, that's what it is. The thing's not that fast. Doesn't seem to be smart. Somehow it's sentient, but it's gonna stop. It's not gonna stop when you're dead.
Paul said, I just learned tonight that werewolf transformation started the dick.
You're welcome.
We're here to inform. We're here to update everybody. Keep everybody
Scary enough
latest.
to me. That's what my toilet looks like after Taco Bell.
Get that image out of your head. Steve said, if only we could get Rick Baker, Rob Botton back to cinema and resurrect Stan Winston to see what they could do.
Absolutely.
From what I understand,
There's another
these
one.
old school guys, they charge so much money that it's expensive. Don't get me wrong, it's way more expensive, but it's to the point where they made a bunch of money in the 80s and 90s, and they all have schools where they're charging $80,000, $100,000 a year. it's going to take a lot to get them to leave their hometowns and go back and do this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fortunate.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Well, Ronald saying, hey, the Gizmo. Hagen says, I'd love to see the Outlast video games get made into a horror series. Think it could work under the right direction.
I'm not familiar with those.
I'm not
either.
Hey, the Coco. Jason says she ran him over too.
She ran over the white guy too.
Hey, the Coco. Alex says, my girl Coco Dutch is in the house. And we are caught up again. All right, we're moving right along, y'all. We're up to our number 2 spot.
Number 2.
Wow, number 2 already.
Oh my.
All right, it's my turn to be butthurt. Fuck you.
Nice, you got the steelbook too.
Very nice steelbook.
Yep. I love this steelbook. Great artwork on the back.
That Walmart.
Not a whole lot I can say about this that hasn't been said, except for I've got one scene. This was a tie for me between Principal Wilkins and the scene I'm about to mention, but just a little bit about this movie. To me, this is a classic Halloween must-watch horror movie. It's actually gained cult status, and for as much as I am a fan of cult movies, it is right up there. I mean, it's not a cult status movie in like, The Evil Dead or Blair Witch, if you want to include those that were made on a zero budget, but it's cult status for the way these stories are told because of Sam, the main character, who's now achieved sort of cult status throughout it. My favorite story in this, though, involves the girls. And so what you have is you've got some sisters. It starts off with them. They're getting their Halloween costumes, and you've got Anna Paquin, who is, let's all be honest, probably a terrible actress. I mean, outside of anything that involves her titties,
she looks good in that little Red Riding Hood outfit.
Right. And if you watch, and I'm a fan of the series, don't get me wrong. And everybody has got their own thing that they're a fan of in the series True Blood. If you ask my wife, there's one reason why you watch True Blood. But the whole series is great. I read the books. The books are great. But Anna Paquin in that series is terrible. She's just something about her I do not like.
Ryan's just going, stop me anytime, guys.
No, just keep going.
Yeah, change my mind. Convince me otherwise. But what I love about this story is the twist to it. I know it's not going to be any huge surprise, but I'm not the jock that you guys are, where you were knocking it out of the park. At 18, 19, 20. My dumbass, well, I was in the Marines, but even in the Marines, I was usually in the library. And so the way it starts is you see these girls, and I'm like, oh, they're these type. They know they're hot. They know they're smoking. They're going to a party. That they're just totally playing a bunch of guys. They're ribbing Anna Paquin because she's a virgin. And of course, she comes out dressed up like Little Red Riding Hood. By the way, there are a ton of Easter eggs in this movie. And the more you watch this movie, the more you're going to see things that happen in the background. This was probably the 5th or 6th time I watched this movie preparing for the stream, and there was still shit I was catching in the background. For example, the little boy peeking on the girls as they get ready is actually Sam. So what you find out is that these girls, Anna Paquin is a virgin, but she's not a virgin of what you think she is. And I'll leave it at that. They're sort of the last sequence of this whole thing. They find a victim. I'll just put it at that. And the victim ends up being Principal Wilkins. So the way that they tie it around is really clever. It's really smooth. But it's a great, I guess I will go ahead and spoil it. I'm kind of right with Brad. I love werewolves. I love werewolf movies. And it's a great, clever way to have female werewolves, outside of, I'm going to blank on the series. Thank you. And just kind of have them where they're hot and they sort of devour their victims with just complete and total apathy. So that's my part. I love the Principal. It was a close tie with that, but I just like the way that they sort of had that twist in it.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
So does their transformation start at the dick as well?
Well,
yes. Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
Why not?
And the reason you watched True Blood was for Deborah Ann Wall.
Yes, thank you.
You are fucking welcome.
Thank you.
Damn right. And Daredevil too.
Yes.
Oh yeah. And yeah, we were talking about it a little bit earlier. Alan was talking about it a bit, but we got the crates. We got old Fluffy over here, right here.
Yep.
There he is.
There he is.
Tom Savini's greatest creation, almost.
Yeah,
Really?
he actually will say that to you as well. Like, because somebody asked him that at that panel, and he said it's got to be Fluffy, right? You know, because just so much work went into it, so much, and yeah, he loves it. And he actually talked to Rob Bottin about, you know, who created like the Thing effects and a lot of, you know, Total Recall and RoboCop and all that stuff. And he, you know, called him up and was like, how do I do all this like animatronic type stuff? Because Savini had never done anything like that before. So he called up Rob Bottin and figured it out and created Fluffy, and it looks, you know, fantastic. I mean, yeah, but you know, you've got Hal Holbrook as Henry, you got Adrienne Barbeau as Wilma, and you got Fritz Weaver as Dexter. And you know, it opens with Adrienne Barbeau and Hal. You know, their characters are like, you know, they're at a party, and you know, Fritz is there as well. All these guys are at this party outside enjoying themselves, and then Adrienne Barbeau's character Wilma is just like screaming at the top of her lungs, just being obnoxious, being a complete bitch the entire party, just you know, making her husband Henry feel like just like less than a man, just like this micro, like nothing, you know, this like micro dick having nothing, you know, just making him feel awful. So, you know, that's Henry's life, you know, with his wife and everything. And then Fritz Weaver, his character is Dexter. Dexter gets a call, and, you know, it's from the janitor, and they were asking him to like come in and look at this crate, this mysterious crate that was left at the school, the university that Alan was talking about. And, you know, so he goes out there to check it out. Him and the janitor are like, you know, they drag this big crate out, and it says Arctic Expedition, June 19, 1834. You know, so, you know, it's been around for a long time, and it's just been like under the steps this whole time, just kind of pushed away, you know, where no one can see it. And yeah, they drag it out. They try to get it open. You know, they got crowbars, hammers, are working at it. And they get like a little peek inside. The janitor gets like a little peek, and he's like, he just sees these yellow eyes staring back at him. He's like, hell is that thing? And then eventually they get it open a little bit more, and he looks at those eyes, and he thinks that they're like jewels of some kind, you know, and he goes to put his hand in there, and then the creature grabs his hand, starts ripping at him, and then eventually sucks like half of his body through, and you just see all this blood coming down. And you know, the janitor just gets ripped apart, and it's great. You know, it looks really cool, and it keeps it mysterious too, because you don't get a great look at the creature. You just kind of see his arms come out and see his eyes and stuff. And yeah, so Dexter starts getting paranoid now, because he's like, oh my god, you know, this thing just killed him. You know, I got to get somebody down here. You know, somebody hopefully will believe me. And he finds one of his students, and he drags him over, and he's like, look, we gotta, you know, figure this thing out. We gotta, you know, go look over there, check out, you know, make sure I'm not crazy. Look in there, killed the janitor, all this stuff. And you know, the kid, because at this point now the creature, Fluffy is what they call him, has dragged his crate back under the stairs because he just wants to be left alone. Yeah. You know, so the kid goes over there, and he's like, I don't see anything. There's nothing. What are you talking about? And then Fluffy comes out again, just rips half the guy's face off, claws him up and down his chest, rips him apart. And now at this point, Dexter doesn't know what to do, because this thing just keeps killing everybody. And, you know, he's like, people are going to think he's stark raving mad if he, you know, like they'll never buy it, or, you know, so what is he going to do? Call the cops? They're going to think he killed all these people. So he calls his buddy Henry, and Henry comes down. He's like, oh, you know, Henry. Well, Dexter goes to Henry's house, actually. And then Henry's like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. He drugs Dexter's drink, makes him pass out. He's blacked out. He goes to, you know, Henry goes to school, mops up everything, cleans up all the blood and all that stuff, makes it look like nothing happened. He sees the crate. And he leaves this letter for his wife to find, his bitch wife, Wilma. And she finds the letter and it says, meet me at the school. There's a big problem, Dexter, may have assaulted this, one of his students here, she needs help, whatever, come quick, So Wilma comes down and, Henry's like, oh yeah, just go look right under the stairs. The girl's in there. She's scared, and Wilma's like, oh my God, was he hitting her? Did he hit her or something? And he's like, I don't know. You better go investigate. And she goes to investigate. Nothing happens at first, but then she starts bitching again. And then the creature just comes out of the crate, grabs her, snatches her up, and Henry gets to live a nice, happy life after that. Because Wilma's now dead. Henry goes ahead and seals the crate back up. Takes the crate, throws it in the water, where it'll just sink down. Hopefully the creature will just die. He tells his buddy Dexter everything that he did. And he's like, I cleaned up the mess. My wife's gone. There's really nothing left to say. Nobody's going to think you killed anyone. It's all cleaned up. So I always love that segment because there's so much going on. You got the creature feature segment, which is already cool on its own. You could probably make it its own movie, but then you have all this stuff with this guy and his wife and him getting, kind of revenge for her, because she's been treating him like shit their entire marriage or whatever. So it's great. And a lot of guys can relate to that, obviously, too, Dr. Ordinary.
Speak for yourself.
What?
You got a mouse in your pocket?
I'll drink to that.
I love it. Love that segment. It's still
just for the record, I've never fed anyone to a crate.
No, he hasn't done that.
I don't believe you.
What's funny is I remember watching this and being, I grew up in the 80s and I was, of course, I'm man enough to admit I was and still am a huge fan of the Muppets. I always thought that Fluffy is pretty much what Oscar the Grouch would be like in real life. Yeah. Just leave my ass under the stairs. Stop fucking with my garbage can. Leave me alone. And if you don't, I'm gonna maul you. I mean, that's basically what it's gonna.
That's it. He just wants to be left alone.
Right.
The whole thing.
Just leave me alone.
He literally takes his crate back under the stairs,
and it's so funny because that's such a clever, subtle thing that people. It's not like he's out hunting people. It's not like he's breaking out of his crate to get to people. They just keep fucking with this poor creature. Yeah. And he just scoots back. And then they're like, oh, let's put my fucking hands in there and see what he's doing. He's like, God damn, well, now I got to eat you. I mean,
it's so good. I love it. So, yeah, that's my number 2.
Great pick, man. I can't wait to see what anti-woman divorce metaphor movie you pull for number 1. I mean, that's basically what's all been at this point.
Man, Adriana Barbeau was such a major bitch in that movie. Unbelievable. And his little daydreams of like fucking her up in his daydreams was fantastic.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
he's jumping in with his tie.
Right, he chokes her with the tie.
Everybody's
shoots her with a revolver, right in the head, and the blood just goes all over the back of this tree she's standing by. It's all in his head, but it's great. The whole time he's just thinking about like if I could just do it and get away with it.
And y'all look at the thumbnail for this video, thumbnail for this live stream. That shot of the creature's eyes, whatever, is what I made the thumbnail because I love that shot. Yeah, the creature's underwater and you see his eyes, the eyes creep out of the crate.
Yeah,
it's a great looking shot. That's a great pick, but I had a feeling that was going to come up. I almost made my top 5.
An icon. Well, my number 2, 4 for 4. 2012 VHS. This one is Second Honeymoon. Written and directed by Ty West. If anybody's ever heard of him, he did X, Pearl. He's doing Maxine, House of the Devil, which is great. He's becoming a real name in the horror genre. It takes place in and around Tombstone, Arizona, I believe. The tourists kind of trapped in southern Arizona. It's shot in various Arizona towns. Vanilla, settle in. I got a book written on this 20-minute segment. A vanilla, timid-looking married couple take a road trip into the Southwest. They come across an old miner fortune teller machine, like the Zoltar machine from Big. The wife puts $1 in the machine. It tells her a closed mouth gathers no foot. It's better to say nothing than to say too much. Then it spits out her fortune on a card that says, a new turn of events will soon come about. A happy reunion with a loved one will make life all that you ever wanted or dreamed of. You have a very trusting nature that is easily taken in by so-called friends. Do not be so anxious to do favors unto others, as there is one who will just be waiting to take advantage of your good nature. And this girl is really kind of mousy, very timid, quiet type girl, but it really perks her up when she sees that fortune. She kind of changes a little bit. And I always thought that was kind of weird because leading up to that, she doesn't have a lot to say. Her boyfriend is this floppy bag, just pussy type guy. And it's just their match. He's just a little bit more domineering than her, who's just basically a wet blanket type, character. That night, they get a knock at the hotel door. The guy answers. He says it's a creepy looking college girl, all dressed in black, and was kind of, he thought she was weird, but a little scary too. But she was asking for a ride, and this guy's kind of afraid of her. Again, this dude's a complete pussy. And you can tell that, she's not real, confident in that. And they want to lock the door and everything. Anyway, that night after that, someone comes into the room with a knife, recording them as they sleep. Whoever's got the camera pulls the knife back, or pulls the blankets back on the girl and rubs the knife on her, and robs the guy and leaves. The next morning, they kind of have an argument about the money. And it kind of alludes to them having money problems, but it doesn't really come out and say it. That night, again, someone filming from inside their hotel room with the camera. The knife opens up and sticks right in the husband's neck as he sleeps. And this person is going to town on this dude's neck. I mean, trying to saw his head off. I mean, and it's out of nowhere. You're watching this and you're just like trying to pick up things. And then that happens and you're like, God damn. And it's like, it holds forever on this dude. You're
it really does.
On this dude's neck. And he's just coughing. Blood's coming out of everywhere. His eyes, it seems like. And I'm just like, when that happened, I was just like, oh, shit. I was like clutching my chest, like Sanford, basically. So the camera cuts again, and it's the killer with the mask on in the bathroom. She got blood all over the mask, pulls the mask off, and it's his wife. And then the camera pans away. They turn the camera to the mirror, and it's the girl from earlier, and they're going to town on each other. And again, it's the prophecy, the note from the fortune from the fortune telling machine earlier. Is it that? Did she plan it the whole time? I love that whole dynamic. They're riding away together. They both look like Manson chicks. Like now, all of a sudden, she's like pale. Her eyes are like black. I just like that turn. I don't know, I still don't know if it's the fortune telling machine a la Big. It's a prophecy that comes true, or she was planning to get rid of this fucking loser the whole time. But what the story does to me is it keeps you interested at the same time, and then it lets you off the hook, like with there with the knife, and then it's like, oh well, that's over. Yep. The fortune teller thing, that's creepy, but oh, that's over, and you kind of forget about it, and it all comes together at a point at the end. And it's a small story again. They're just they just ride off into the night together, and she's telling her to erase the tape. They just obviously left the guy dead in the hotel room. But they're gonna run away together. But the ending, definitely my favorite part. That when that knife goes right in that dude's neck, I don't know. Like I said, for some reason, it's like you're like, oh, it just snapped for me. It really worked. I really liked it, and like I said, it's Ty West. It's all Ty West. Take just a small little story like that and make it so effective and fun. And fun's probably not the right word, but effective is. Yes, and I just enjoyed it, man. But yeah, it's my number 2.
It's a great pick.
He uses the actor as Boy from The Sacrament as well.
Yeah, and he actually directs one of the segments. The actor, one of the other segments in the VHS. But
interesting. Okay,
well played. The kind of like the wimpy guy, and he got a really demure, very timid girl, and like he's just doing these like cucky things, like trying to get her to do a sex tape and stuff, and it's just like it's
weird. And the dynamic is so Ty West with I mean you've got 3 characters. That's it. I guess 4 if you want to include the fortune telling minor. But he does such a great subtle job as you can't really figure out this dynamic between this husband and wife. Like when the chick comes to the door, he acts so weird about the fact that this stranger was there. You're like, is this a chick he knows? Is it, does he not know this chick? The whole scene with the money thing, he's like implicating that she's stolen money from him before. And so he does such a great job at that's where it kind of like all of that wraps back around to, is this, prophetical from the minor, or is this already pre-planned and destined and ordained? And so it's such a, it's such exactly. And who planned it? Exactly. It's such a small story, but it has such, these profound overtones. The way he ends it leaves you sort of kind of wondering. But I totally agree with you. A lot of times I'm not claiming that I can always foretell movies where they're going. I mean, I've seen obviously shitloads and shitloads of movies, but a lot of times I'm kind of like, I can see where this is going. I did not see where that was going when she started stabbing him in the neck, and I did not see it going on as long as it was.
Yeah.
And it really was. It's just kind of, and I think that's also, I think, what's going to make Ty West huge in the upcoming years is he takes this story that really is all story and with very little dialogue, and it's mostly just left in your brain, right? It's very cerebral, thinking about all this, but he puts in this very profound, in your face violence. That's just enough. It's not enough, but it's not too much to really sort of complement that cerebral thought process. And I think this segment is probably why Ty West is where he is and where he's going to go. It's really underrated, I think.
Yeah, very talented guy, understated. But there's a scene I left out. I didn't explain. I explained the whole fucking segment, but after the robbery, they go hiking in the Grand Canyon, and you're even watching that like, oh shit.
Right.
Is he going to throw her off? Because like you said, maybe he's trying to get rid of her, or like you don't suspect her, but then if you on a rewatch, you look at her, she's this pale, black-eyed broad, and you can kind of see it, a little bit more.
Right. It's like who's flawed here? Who's the villain? And then because you're right, and that scene seems like it seems like a throwaway scene. All right, they're on vacation. All right, he's going to go down and look out into this canyon, and he comes back. Even the lines are so delivered in such a sort of an odd way that you kind of flip back and forth between these two characters, and I think it's very smart. It's a very smart movie segment.
It's a nothing segment until you rewatch it. I feel like I'll rewatch it the second time. And I'm like, man, that might make it. And then before you know, it's my number 2. I watch it the third time. I'm like, I just really like it. It's very effective. And as a weirdo that stayed in about 1 million hotel rooms like that, you just think like, my dumb ass, that could be me. I sleep like the dead. My head would be half sawed off before I woke up.
Hi.
What's up? What's up?
Oh, geez. The whiskey has really taken effect.
Welcome to the VHS top 5.
Brad is completely.
Chuck, in my business, we call this conscious sedation. So enjoy it.
I think VHS has paid Brad to send him all those copies for free. Is what I'm thinking.
In honor of Brad and nobody fucking else, we're bringing this up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
I gotta go with my second is Amateur Night. Brad spoke about it earlier, but it's such a good segment. I mean, like you said, you have the guys who are probably like the jocks. They don't really say, but they're probably the jocks, and they have a friend, a quote friend, that's probably more on the nerdy side, and they buy him these glasses that have a camera in them to film everything that they're doing. And he's kind of against it, but he's kind of for it. He's kind of like, well, I want to fit in type guy. And yeah, when they go to a bar and they've got the one chick who's just walking around with thigh highs, which why can't I find that? The one chick with eyes that are half her fucking face,
fish eyes,
head. And I mean, for me, it's not a deal breaker. I don't know about anybody else, but something oddly hot about her. I'm just saying. Anyway,
I've always wanted to bang a walleye.
But back in the hotel room, the one chick passes out like, yeah, Brad went over all this already, but the one kid who has these glasses on and has a camera in it is filming this. He's against it, but then he gets into it because she's just seen a freak because she's the only chick that's there. And yeah, she just starts killing everybody, and it's so well done. And you don't see a ton. You see blood. A lot of it is implied. The second guy you kind of see her just gnawing on him, vampire sucking his blood. But when she chases after the kid with the glasses that's filming everything, you really feel like, holy shit, like this is like a real type thing that I'm filming this. This person's coming. And her just whispering, I like you. I like you.
Yeah, it's so creepy.
It's super.
I like you.
It's super creepy. I don't know. I should have looked up that particular actress, see if she's done anything else. I don't know if she has, but she played that role to a T perfectly. Creepy, disgusting, yet hot.
Right, but it's like seductive at the same time.
Yeah, it's just it's so weird. And Brad touched.
And what's funny is how he doesn't see it. You know, as a third party, you're like, dude.
I think that plays into the type of character that he is. That you have.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The type of jocks or the type of popular people, and they're using him to do what they want. So he's not really accustomed to this type of thing. And once the one other girl passes out, and the one head douchebag turns his attention on this chick, he's standing there just watching. She doesn't know that he's filming, and she grabs at him and grabs towards his crotch and whatnot. And he's just like, holy shit, let me get my pants off really quick. He's just like, oh, fuck, this is going to happen.
Finally.
This is right. Amazing. And then the other guy is just like a laughing idiot, starts to approach, and she's screaming, no, 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 no. And this kid's like, I got to get out of here. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Heads into the bathroom, and when he comes out, she just starts ripping everybody apart. And eventually, she gets him, like he falls down the stairs. He breaks his wrist. And they showed a nice little special effect of his wrist being completely split with his bone sticking out.
Yep.
And what you assume is with her face completely split open down the middle. Okay. You assume she's going down on him or something like that. He's completely freaking out. And she I like you, I like you, I like you. She's looking at him saying, no like, no like, no. Yeah. And she loses her mind. And I mean, such a great segment. I mean, I'm not wrong with that guy.
You know, at the bottom of the stairs, I agree with you. And I mean, I remember watching it the first time thinking to myself, you know, other than the face that's split open into razor sharp teeth, I could probably work with this. I could probably get past this. I mean, I'm just devil's advocate. Nothing else on her changed from here.
The problem is she has razor sharp piranha teeth, and she's trying to give him a BJ on the stairwell.
Well,
and he's like,
you know,
no.
What's the issue?
Listen, again, as the guy who wasn't the jock, you take what you can get. Right. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Anthony. Aren't we judgmental?
Thank you, Brad.
He was saying no. Because the thing is, that's the whole reason she got upset in the first place, was because he wouldn't have sex with her. If he wouldn't just have sex with her, he would have been golden, you know?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, in the hotel room, he couldn't get his pants off fast enough.
Right.
Like I said,
it's a winner, man.
It's a great segment. It really is.
The thing is, I don't like Bloody Disgusting, despite my 4 picks so far. I hate Bloody Disgusting. They produce these movies, and the political stuff.
They are the TMZ.
Yeah, exactly.
Of all of this, however you want to reference it, they are the TMZ of everything horror.
Yeah, they're clickbaity, and plus their political stuff is too far one direction, I feel. But there is political stuff in every one of these, but it's not slamming. They're not swinging a hammer about it. They're not. It doesn't go into that woke territory, which I like.
No,
so, I mean
it's just such a fantastic segment. It's hard to find like any fault within it.
Right.
Yeah.
That, I mean, you could. I mean, this whole anthology is very good. It's hard any fault with it, but as you watch them, that particular segment, Amateur Night, you can watch it. You can watch it back to back to back and be satisfied.
It's a good time. It's just a great time, and the ending again. It's a crescendo. It goes all the way up, and then he gets away. He's free, and then right off into the night. Yeah, I just love that.
Well, yeah, and that's why it's so well done too, because there's something up with her, because you're watching as a third party observer, but you think, okay, is she a serial killer? Is she? And it's just it's so well done that she's like a vampire demon thing, that drags him off into the middle of the night, but it works. I mean, it's not campy, it's not infallible. It's just really well done.
Yeah.
You're a good pick, man.
Great pick.
Yeah. Excellent pick.
I'm fixing to completely change gears here. And let me just explain before I say this next pick here. When I watched this movie, I was worried about how I was going to describe this and, give details about it or whatever. Because if you've seen this movie before, you probably can understand that, because it's a different type of film. I also did not plan on having 6 drinks before doing this. I'm really going to rely heavily on my notes on this one, so y'all bear with me on this. But this is going to be The Hard Goodbye from Sin City.
All right. Oh, yeah. Good pick.
And I looked this up. This is an anthology movie.
It is.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt, yeah.
Matter of fact, you go look at best anthology films, it's going to pop up every time.
Well, so's Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. I haven't seen this movie in many, many years. I rewatched it to get ready for this. And let's just say, if you haven't seen this, you need to watch it. I'm definitely not a graphic novel kind of guy. I've never really got into graphic novels. But if anything was going to get me into graphic novels, it would be this. It is shot. It looks so fucking cool to watch this movie.
Yep.
You watch this on a really nice TV, a really good setup. I'm telling you, it's next level. With all the black and white, the blood's red, the girl's lips are red, the girl's hair's blonde.
Yeah.
It's fucking fantastic. I really want a 4K of this movie. It's a fucking shame we don't have a 4K of this movie right here. It looks. I can't think of another movie that would benefit more from a 4K. I think it would be great. Okay, so again, y'all bear with me on this, because, like I said, this is the one I was the most concerned about talking about. Just because it's such a weird type of movie. You have to really watch it to really understand how great it is. It's really hard to talk about, because most of it is visual. It really is. But this was directed by Frank Miller, who did the graphic novels. Robert Rodriguez and special guest director Quentin Tarantino. Anytime those two guys get together, you sign me up. I'm there. I love both those guys. I love when they collaborate. They're some of the best in the business. Based on the graphic novel by Frank Miller, Mickey Rourke, which is Mickey Rourke is fantastic. And something else about Mickey Rourke, if Mickey Rourke at 25 and Mickey Rourke 2023, if this movie came out in 2023, you need no makeup. You need no makeup. Mickey Rourke is now Marv in real life.
Yeah.
He plays a character named Marv, who's fucking fantastic. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy this whole movie. I really do. I recommend you watch the whole movie. I like the opening shot with Bruce Willis, that little story. When it goes to Marv and does that whole scenario, when it goes to the next scene after that, it falls off for me a little bit. There was no doubt that this was the best segment of this movie. And this is the I would say that most people would probably agree this is the most enjoyable part. Whenever Mickey Rourke's on the screen, his character in this movie it's where it's at. I'm gonna kind of pull an Anthony here. Or maybe it's a Dirk. I think it was a Dirk. You always pull the quotes. I got a lot of quotes from Marv on this. Because, but look, I'm gonna go with the cast real fast. You have a great cast. I'm not gonna go with the cast of the whole movie because there's so many fucking stars in this movie. But just this segment. You have Mickey Rourke playing Marv. You have Rutger Hauer, which I'm a huge Rutger Hauer fan. And he has a very small part in this, whatever. But as soon as I see him pop up on the screen again, it's like, fuck, that's Rutger Hauer. You know, and it was great to see him on this. Jamie King, which I'm not familiar with, but she played a girl named Goldie / Wendy, supposed to be playing twins. Elijah Wood. And let's talk about Elijah Wood for a minute. Elijah Wood plays a guy named Kevin. Might be the creepiest motherfucker ever. Let's just say the Frodo Baggins has left the building.
Yeah.
Every time this motherfucker's on the screen, it's the creepiest shit I've ever seen. Not to mention he's wearing a fucking Charlie Brown shirt. If you notice, he's wearing a Charlie Brown shirt. There's something about this fucking guy that when he's on the screen, you can't look away. He's got the big fucking eyes, the way they shoot it. It's just watch it. If you haven't seen it in a while, just watch it. He's a creepy bitch. But basically, Elijah Wood, the little side story, he's basically a cannibal that eats whores.
Yep.
And he gets their heads and mounts them on the wall like a fucking 8-point buck.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't want to give anything away, but at the very end of the movie, his arms and legs are taken off, and this fucking wild dog is eating him, and this motherfucker is smiling the entire time.
Yeah.
It's a creepy bitch. It really is. I really enjoyed Elijah Wood in this movie. It was something I've never seen this motherfucker do before. It's way out of his fucking ballpark, what he normally does. And I'm reading my notes here. I literally say in my notes, Elijah Wood's creepy as fuck, plays a cannibal that eats whores, and mounts her heads on the wall. That's what my notes say.
Yeah. He reads the Bible. He reads the Bible at some point, and he's jerking off reading the Bible.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I got a quote just a minute. Whenever Rutger Hauer is talking to whenever Mickey Rourke is talking to Rutger Hauer, I got a quote just a minute that's fantastic from that scene. I got to say something about Jessica Alba. Now, Jessica Alba pops up in this. She goes a little bit deeper in another part of the story. But Jessica, and I'm going to read my notes here again. Jessica, and this is what I type in as I'm watching the film. Jessica Alba dancing supersized portion of gravy on her taters.
Supersized portion.
And girls that dance like fucking the Grindhouse movies. What's the girl's name that danced on that on the fucking Grindhouse? But my God, there's something about her. He has some way to shoot a girl dancing on stage. That's like next level. You got Brittany Murphy in this. Who pops up in all the stories. Whatever. Rest in peace. I always like Brittany Murphy.
She never told.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna read my notes here because I'm struggling a little bit. Marv has a wild night with a girl named Goldie, a girl that would never give him the time of day. Now, just a little side note. Normally, when I do these, I don't actually write a dissertation. I take notes. I steal shit from IMDb. I'm literally writing this like I'm a fucking Cisco Nebert. Marv has a wild night with a girl named Goldie, a girl that never would give him the time of day. He wakes up the next morning and she is dead. The story is him trying to put the pieces together to find out who killed Goldie. He runs across Kevin, played by Elijah Wood. These scenes is what put this in my top 5. So many great shots in this movie. The black and white with the blood, Blondie's hair being in color just looks great. Love the couple times in the movie right before Marv kills a bad guy, he delivers the line. That there is one damn fine coat you're wearing.
Yeah.
He says that right before he fucks the guy up and steals his coat.
Yeah.
It's a great line.
Blood all over it.
And has there ever been any greater casting than fucking Mickey Rourke as this character? There's something. No. I mean, he was made to play this character. After watching it again, I always loved Mickey Rourke, but he was made for this character.
The wrestler. This is what brought him back to Hollywood.
Yeah. And this is the back and forth between Rutger Hauer and Mickey Rourke, whatever. But Rutger Hauer plays a guy named Cardinal Rourke. Funny Cardinal Rourke, Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
Will that bring you satisfaction, my son, killing a helpless old fart? Mark says, killing, no satisfaction. Everything up to the killing will be a gas.
Yeah.
Mark says, I love hitmen. No matter what you do to them, you don't feel bad. He's got so many great one-liners in this. Let's see. And the best shot in the movie, and I got this in all capital letters, just how much it meant to me. The best shot in the movie is when Rutger Hauer, I keep saying Rutger Hauer, when Mickey Rourke is driving the car.
Yeah.
He's interrogating this guy trying to get some shit out of him. He's driving the car with the door open. He's got the guy down on the fucking asphalt going 60. And he says, I don't know about you, but I'm having a ball. And it's just that shot when it's like such a great fucking shot, man. It's so good. What else do I have here? I have one little note here. It says, because of the way the movie was shot, Mickey Rourke and Elijah Wood never met in real life until the film was actually released. They never actually seen each other during the film.
Oh fuck! I didn't know that. Oh, that's crazy.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, it's so good, and I kept on like searching. Every time I do these, I always search on Google, best found footage, best whatever, just to get some ideas of shit I might have missed. And every single one I searched for best anthology, Sin City popped up every time. And I was like, I haven't seen that movie in years. And I pulled it out and started watching it, man. And I've watched it twice. I watched it like a week ago, and I watched it again this morning just to make sure that I had my notes right. Of course, I didn't know I was going to be drinking bourbon. But yeah, this almost made number one. Almost number one, but it's a beautifully shot movie. If I ever do a stream about my top 5 movies that need a 4K, this is going to be on it. This movie needs a 4K.
Oh hell yeah!
That's an awesome pick. Yeah, it really is.
And by the way, his character comes back for a Dame to Kill For or whatever it's called.
It's a prequel.
Yeah,
I think Bruce Willis kills it in that role too. That's back.
Man, I love that one really also. The old yellow bastard or whatever. The old yellow bastard. That whole scene, you can smell how bad this guy stinks. The way they describe old yellow bastard, you can smell his stink. Just the way they describe it, it's a great movie, man. It really is.
He's like, she'll scream. They all scream.
All right, Anthony, you're freaking everybody out.
He's such a sick fuck, man. I mean,
he is.
Yeah, that's Nick Stahl. He's such a great actor. But yeah, that whole Bruce Willis segment, man, that would be the next one after Marv. I go with that Bruce.
Oh
Willis.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And Michael Madsen, I didn't put it in my notes, but that was the segment I was talking about. But Michael Madsen, during the wrap-up party for Kill Bill, is how he got the shot for this movie. How he got into this movie. He was talking to the guys after Kill Bill, whatever, and he was saying, "Hey, I want to be in fucking this project you guys are working on." That's how he got the role. Was at the wrap-up party for Kill Bill, which was interesting.
I haven't seen Sin City since the movie theater. I'm gonna have to rewatch it.
Yeah, it's a really cool shot movie, man. Like it's different. Like I said, you would think that somebody like me that's not into the graphic novels wouldn't dig it as much as I did, but man, it looked fantastic, and it really did.
Yeah,
it's one of those ones that really grew because I saw it in the theater and I wasn't sure what to think about it when I first saw it in the theater because I'm kind of like Alan. I wasn't, I was huge into comics, but not really graphic novels. But as I've rewatched it, as time has gone on, it really has grabbed me more and more.
Yeah. Well, I know Jacob, my oldest son, was a big fan of it. He got me to watch it for the first time. And I was like, yeah, that was pretty good. And every time I've watched it since, and I haven't seen it in years, but every time I watched it after that, I liked it more and more. And I was a big fan of it, watching it, getting ready for this.
That is definitely a film that would benefit from 4K.
Oh, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy that it doesn't
pay attention when you watch it, whatever. There's so many fucking cool shots, whatever. Like the girl Blondie, she has a twin named Wendy. Every time he sees her, he thinks it's Blondie because that's the girl he was in love with that got killed. She has this blonde hair. Everything else is black and white. As she walks closer to him, whenever the blonde hair turns to gray like the rest of the shot, and he realizes, oh, you're Wendy. It's just little shit like that, but there's so many cool shots in this.
Yeah.
And the cast, I consider for 15 minutes to talk about the cast. There must be fucking 50 big actors in this. But yeah, it's well done, man. All right, let's see. Where do we leave off at here?
Everybody's so quiet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think this was it. All right. If you like survival horror, I think you'll like Outlast. We'll have to check out Outlast, Brad. I know me and Brad have been playing the PS5 together. We'll need to check that out.
Yeah.
Wild Wrangler says Dead of Night 77 segment, Second Chance, stars Ed Begley Jr.
I'm not sure I've seen that one.
Good film.
Yeah.
Keen, I think it was
a great movie.
Kino release, possibly, I believe.
Steve says, I'm a sucker for a good creature feature. The Crate is such a great segment, and the design of Fluffy is one of the best.
It really is, man.
Yeah. Anytime you ever watch any documentary on Tom Savini and he shows his room and shit, you always see Fluffy in the background.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's like I think that's his favorite thing he's ever done. What's up, Brian?
What's up, Brian?
Hey, Brian had a stream over Garrett tonight. I have to watch it when we get done here, Brian.
Hell yeah.
Talk about all the film releases. Hope that went well. So, hey to Brian. Hey, Wild Wrangler. Tony says, great olive live stream, Brian.
You traitor.
Nice. Tony, I thought you were watching us, man. What the hell?
Tony.
What the hell, Brian? Tony.
Brian says, Bloody Disgusting was like an intro to horror on the internet for me. I quickly grew out of that site.
Yeah, fuck them.
Agreed.
Brian says, thanks, Tony. That means a lot. Yeah, if Tony likes what you're doing, you're doing it right. Yeah. Tony says, I ordered 17 titles, Brian. Talking about all of you. I ordered about maybe 8 or 9. I'll say to Brian. Brian says, "Oh wow, Tony, there's definitely a few I need to grab still. That Garrett had. All of Robert Rodriguez needs a 4K. Damn it. Yeah, I agree.
True.
Say to Holland, what's up, White Tim?
What's up?
What's up?
Should be here, bud. Did anyone name Cat's Eyes? Not yet.
Not yet. That's a great mention, though.
Yeah, James Woods, man, he's great in that. All right, we are there, guys. We're at our number one. Still right along. So, Dr. Ordinary, what you got for your number one, man?
All right, I've got to bring it up. It's a hard movie to talk about. There's a lot of controversy surrounding this movie, but for a lot of reasons, there's one segment in it that will always be one of my all-time favorite horror anthology segments of all time. I'll talk a little bit about the film first, and we'll get into the segment. But that, of course, is 1983 sci-fi anthology Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Oh,
right. So here it is. You've got 1983. You've got some of the biggest directors at the time. You've got John Landis, Steven Spielberg, Joe Dante, who's one of my all-time favorite directors, right? And then you've got George Miller, each doing a segment based off of Twilight Zone, the series, obviously. Of course, for anybody that doesn't know, the controversy around this movie was the death of Vic Morrow and two basically under-the-table paid child actors during a segment from Vic Morrow's scene. This was during what they call the new Hollywood era of filmmaking, and that's basically when directors had ultimate control and safety standards were set aside. Everything was set aside basically to make the film, to make a profit off of these films. And so during filming and after the death of Vic Morrow, there was a lot of controversy. People separated themselves quickly. Of course, there was a lot of lawsuits that went back and forth after the accident and the deaths. And it, helped bring about a lot of more safety features that are in Hollywood and the end of what they call the new Hollywood era. I'm sure everybody on the planet has seen this movie if you're old enough, like an old bastard like me. But, you've got your standard 80s ensemble cast. You've got Dan Aykroyd, you've got Vic Morrow, you got Scatman Carruthers that's in this. John Lithgow, we'll get to that, Albert Brooks. So the segment, of course, for me is Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, starring John Lithgow, based off of the original Nightmare at 20,000 Feet from the series, starring William Shatner. You can't really go
something
wrong
on the
with
wing.
what is it? The original segment, sort of, by the way, to kind of like go back to the original Nightmare at 20,000 Feet segment, starring William Shatner, was directed by Richard Donner. Yes, the Richard Donner, Goonies, Lethal Weapon, Superman, which is just crazy to think about. A lot of people don't realize that. All based off of a book, the original story. You've got John Lithgow, who plays this guy by the name of John Valentine, and the scene opens up with him in an airplane bathroom. And he clearly has an anxiety about flying. And I can't imagine that I'm revealing anything that anybody hasn't seen this, but basically he goes back to his seat. He's on this flight. He's terrified of flying. He's looking out the window, and lo and behold, what does he see? Something on the airplane, on the wing out there, destroying the engine. Now, a little bit of backstory here, why this is such, for nostalgia reasons. One, seeing this kind of like growing up in the 80s. But two, I'm a pilot. I started taking flying lessons when I was 12 years old. I've soloed on my 16th birthday. I have my commercial license, my instrument license. And so gremlins are a very sort of tongue-in-cheek to say it, but real thing. Gremlins sort of started during the beginning of the 20th century. They were sort of these fairies that were created to explain mechanical problems that happen in aircraft. It really took off during World War II, especially with the Royal Air Force and then with the American Air Force. And so it's a thing that still exists. Anytime you're flying, an airplane is no different than the car. A lot of times something mechanical goes wrong. And to this day, we still blame it on gremlins. No joke. We say, oh, the gremlins are acting up now. And so that's kind of where all this comes from. And it was popularized. It was a children's book. There was a guy by the name of Dahl. Can't remember his first name, Dahl. But he wrote a book called The Gremlins. And he was an RAF pilot, Royal Air Force pilot in World War II. And that's where Joe Dante got the idea for Gremlins from. And that basically starts the whole Gremlins thing, right? So there are these mythological creatures that basically like to sabotage aircraft while they're flying. Why this segment to me is so fantastic, why it's at my number one spot. One, it's directed by George Miller. All right, so we're talking Mad Max level here.
Babe.
George, he and Babe, right? Let's not forget Babe. George Miller, like a lot of people after the accident, immediately sort of became disgusted with the whole film, and we won't get into all the controversy of that. But Joe Dante, because George Miller said, I'm done, George Miller filmed the scenes. Joe Dante actually ended up doing all the editing for this scene. So you've got Miller and Dante really collaborating on this scene. It's a very, very simple scene. If you think about it, you have very little set. All you've got is John Lithgow in an airplane who plays this guy that's basically losing his shit because of what he's convinced he sees out on the wing. The differences between this and the original that really set it up is Rod Serling sets the original up that this guy's already crazy. He's flying home from an insane asylum. Whereas John Lithgow really sells that he's just a normal guy. He's afraid of flying, but he's just a normal guy. And the acting and the directing are unbelievable in this segment. It's palpable. It's very real. And here's the thing with flying and having flown for a lot of people. Fear of heights. A lot of people think, oh, people don't like to fly for fear of heights. It's actually claustrophobia. And a lot of times we'll bring people up to the cockpit so they get a clear view, and it helps that claustrophobia. But that claustrophobic feeling is very palpable in this scene. Just the way they film it, the seats. And then to try to calm this guy down, everybody crowds around him, which just contributes to this feeling of claustrophobia. The Gremlin itself, the original one, it's almost damn near campy if you go back and watch it. But this one's actually pretty well done. The practical effects, think of this as the early 1980s for the Gremlin that's on the scene on the wing of the airplane. It's just to me, this really kind of sort of tells you how big this is the parody. This whole scene has been reproduced, parodied, referenced in more things than you can really kind of like list going forward from the 1980s. So and by the way, it also wraps up the whole frame for the Twilight Zone movie. For those that haven't seen, I can't imagine that you haven't seen it, but it starts with Dan Aykroyd, who basically says to a hitchhiker, do you want to see something really scary? And this ends with John Lithgow, who's now is in a straitjacket, being taken away from the airplane, in an ambulance, driven by Dan Aykroyd, who then says, wow, that sounds like you had a really rough flight. Do you want to see something really scary? I mean, what a great way to bookend something.
The music starts.
Yeah, and it's just fantastic. I mean, it's just it's like I said, there's very little set. You almost could do this entire thing without the Gremlin. And John Lithgow does such a great job at making you just as paranoid as he is. And for as much as, listen, I don't want to take anything away from William Shatner, but Shatner just doesn't have what Lithgow does and being able to sell it. By the way, one of the things I'll never forget, I've tried to find it on YouTube because I wanted to be able to show it. It's not out there, but this shows you how much of an old bastard I am. Alan might remember it. One of the Super Bowls, late 1980s, I think. One of the TV commercials was great. It starts with this little girl who's sitting in a seat on an airplane, and she's looking out the window, and she sees a gremlin out there. And she's like, oh, she goes, there's something on the wing. And the camera shot pans over, and the dude sitting next to her is William Shatner, and he goes, yeah, I've been saying that for years. Nobody listens.
I think I do remember that.
So, I mean, that just shows you the parody for this. And I know that it's sad what happened around this movie. And I'm actually, it makes me think, like, would this movie have even been, like, released nowadays? Thinking back on what's just recently happened with the Alec Baldwin thing. But it's crazy. It's because, from my days of flying, my love of horror movies growing up in the 80s, it's got to be my number one.
Yeah. There's something about that. You're talking about the Gremlin on the wing, whatever. There's something about the John Lithgow thing after he blows the window out and he's sticking his head out and the thing grabs his face, and he kind of does that little whatever.
Yep.
And you see the slime on John Lithgow's face, whatever, after he grabs his face. That really sells the Gremlin for me. and this whatever. It kind of brings it home for me as far as being a great looking creature feature or whatever, creature character or whatever. One thing though about the FAA security guard guy, whatever. I mean, come on, what's this guy gonna do? You know, you guys got a heart. Jody's having a heart attack.
You know? Right.
And
right. The morbidly obese air marshal.
Yeah, then he's sitting there holding the fucking Howdy Doody doll, whatever, with the plane's going down. And he's like freaking out, snuggling with the damn doll. Yeah, it's a great shot, man. It really was. And I'm going to be honest with you, it probably would have made my top 5, but my copy hadn't come in yet. And that's the reason why it was going to be right there. But I got it ordered, it hadn't come in yet. But pretty much, I thought I had it in my collection, but I didn't.
Pretty much ruined John Landis after that.
It really did.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised, you know, that Landis actually came out of it without, you know, more. That's why I was saying. I wonder, like, had this happened nowadays?
Oh yeah, they're going to jail
differently. You know,
Richard Donner killed a guy in Lethal Weapon 4.
Lethal 4, 3 or 3, 4.
What? And it's in the movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's funny. Richard Donner was involved in that movie where somebody died, and then he later killed a guy.
In this one, yeah. A lot of people don't know this too. Vic Morrow's daughter, Jennifer Jason Leigh from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
That's her. I didn't know that was his daughter.
Yeah, that's Vic Morrow's daughter.
I did not know that.
Undisclosed lawsuit settlement. You know, a lot of these guys. I mean, what's really sad is that the children that were involved, you know, apparently, you know, they weren't even like on the payroll. They were just being paid off the books, you know, like pulled off the streets to be filmed in this. So it's Steven Spielberg, you know, credits it as ending the new Hollywood era, like he says. But here's the other thing I think is interesting about this this whole anthology series. The one that people remember about all this is Terror at 20,000 Feet. It's been parodied. Everybody talks about the Twilight Zone movie, John Lithgow. Everybody predicted, you know, here you've got Steven Spielberg and John Landis, who at the time were the absolute biggest blockbuster sellers. It's their 2 segments that were the least well received. It was Joe Dante's and George Miller's that people like the most.
My favorite part of the whole segment is when the pilot comes out and the pilot sits down next to John Lithgow and they're having their back and forth. The pilot's trying to calm John Lithgow down. There's something about that back and forth being a dialogue whore like you are, whatever. That dialogue is fantastic.
Absolutely. Yep.
And that's my favorite part of the whole segment. I watched it again this afternoon. Getting ready for the stream. And I almost said, fuck it, I'm going to show it anyway, even though they ain't got the physical release. But yeah, it's a good one, man. It's definitely the best part of that film, and it's one of the greatest anthologies ever.
It really is. And FYI, for those of you that may be afraid of flying we get aircraft get hit by lightning all the time. It does almost absolutely nothing to an airplane because we are not grounded.
Well, that's good to know. I didn't care anymore. I'm not even worried now. I didn't fucking know they got hit by lightning until you said that.
I mean, 99% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only flown. I flew the first time like 5 years ago. I'm 52. I flew the first time like 5 years ago when my son went to boot camp. I had to go to Oklahoma. And let's just say this. There's people that get up to go to the bathroom and all that shit. When I get on the plane and I get in my seat, I'm not getting up for shit. I don't give it. There's no way I'm going to walk on the plane as it's flying. There's no way. There's no way. It ain't going to happen. You know, I get a first class seat to get the bigger seat because I'm a big guy. I've only flown 3 times. I've only flown first class every time because of the bigger seats. I get a lot of Jack Daniels and Diet Cokes. By the time we get there, I have no worries. By the time I was like, fuck, let's take it down. Let's do it. I don't give a shit. I take an anxiety pill and drink a lot of liquor. And that's what gets me through my flights. So, like I said, I see people getting up and walking to the bathroom. There's no way in hell. I don't care how bad I got to piss. I'm not getting up to walk across the floor of that plane as it's 30,000 feet. I ain't doing it.
Why don't you go flying with Ryan?
Hell no.
No,
I'll tell you right now.
Don't want me on the
not
plane
a chance in hell.
I'll be like John Lithgow on his fucking plane. He don't want me on that fucking plane.
I can see him fucking with you a lot, dude. Just like fall asleep.
Right. I was just gonna say.
All right, now we got to this altitude. We can do tricks. I'll roll this bitch over.
For those of you, I don't know for anybody who's seen a movie called "There's Something About Mary."
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
With Stephen Wright, the comedian, plays a pilot who falls asleep in the middle of a thunderstorm with his passenger, Mike Myers. That's exactly what I do to Alan.
Oh,
I
you're
just had the
thinking of
craziest dream.
you're thinking of So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yeah, So I Married an Axe Murderer.
I love
Right,
that movie. I was actually going to reference that same scene because I just watched it again.
I think that's got a 4K in it. Ain't you doing a 4K of that?
Yep.
Yep.
What a great Mike Myers movie, playing his father.
Oh my god! Head, move now!
Right? It's got an orange like a toothpick.
Who's next, Anthony or
Anthony?
Next,
let's
right?
see what misogynistic, woman-hating group he's picking.
Well, we're going back to the hood.
All right.
All right, nice.
We're going back to the hood. We're going to talk about KKK Comeuppance is the name of the episode.
All right, go ahead, hit the end button.
This is the end of Alan's YouTube career.
It was a fun run.
Right.
Right.
No, but this is the segment. This is the one. Of course, I love it because it's got the little dolls. You know, the little guys running around killing people. If you haven't seen it, so it's centered around Duke Metger, which is a mix of two different white supremacist names, David Duke and Tom Metzger. So they just blended it together, Duke Metger. And he's this guy. He's governor. He's running for office and everything. He's taken over this old slave house, you know, and it's this place where a bunch of slaves died because it was like right when they were about to be freed. The owner of them hung all of them outside his front lawn on the tree or whatever, and now those souls from those dead slaves are now inhabiting these little puppets, these little dolls or whatever that are like underneath the house. And there's like this mural of this old like voodoo woman and all of her, her puppets, or all of her, people or little puppets and stuff in there. And anytime one of the puppets comes to life, they disappear from the murals, which is a really cool thing. And, they're basically like her children and everything. They're all the people that died there. And, yeah, so, he's running for office. He's a complete asshole. Just think of Kelvin Candy, think of that type of character.
Right.
I think you got to mute
Still
Chuck.
get me.
Hit your microphone button, Gore. You're echoing there. I know you don't care. You're drinking. You don't care.
Pinch hitting for Pedro Rodriguez.
Yeah, he's basically just Kelvin Candy, from Django Unchained. He's like that type of character. He's very over the top.
Exactly.
He's very funny at the same time, though. Like that's why it's such a perfect blend. He's a complete piece of shit, but he's also funny at the same time. So, yeah. So his character's interesting, but anyway, it cuts back to like the house and like, just mute Chuck really quick.
Just jump all the way out and then go back in. I think that worked last time.
Sorry, I can't. But yeah, he keeps talking trash about this place, and he wants nothing more than to just, he just wants to win, and he's living in this house, and all of a sudden he starts seeing the little puppets start popping up, or these little dolls start popping up or whatever, and he's like, look, I didn't do anything to you guys. It's what, get the fuck out of my house. What do you think you're going to do? And he gets like a double barrel shotgun. He shoots the one. He starts going after the other ones. He takes this American flag, that he's got, and he just hits the old black woman in the mural, and she starts bleeding. And then you start to notice like all the other little dolls start disappearing from the mural. And then it pans over, and you just see all of the puppets, and they're all about to just start attacking Duke Metger, and they just start ripping him apart, biting him, and there's blood everywhere, and it's brutal. It's really good. The guys who did the puppets are the same. They used some of the same puppets again for Team America World Police. I thought that was an interesting fact.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, they reused some of those puppets there. It's actually a mix of it's puppetry and then stop motion as well. So I thought that was really cool. And even the guys who used the puppets, those same guys came back for Team America to help out for a little bit as well. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, the what are they? The Chiodo brothers. They did the stop motion, the puppetry. So that's really cool. Yeah, Corbin Burnson as Duke. I think he's perfect for that role because he's just such an asshole.
Absolutely.
He plays a good asshole. Major League. He's a good asshole. Major League too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's got a lot of great lines and stuff in the movie too, and he's just
Float carefully.
Right, exactly. I know that's what I'm trying to tread carefully. Like I'm gonna blow. He puts the one. He takes one of the little dolls, and he puts them up on the dartboard or whatever, and he's like, I'm gonna blow your little balls off or whatever. That double barrel. And they just keep coming for him, and it's a great segment. It's one of my favorite ones. I've been watching it since I was a kid. It's just once again, it does a great job of. It's got like the messaging and stuff in there in each segment, but I think it does it very well because it's a horror segment or horror story first that also happens to have like the messages and all that stuff in there, but it's interwoven very well. I don't think it's too in your face or anything like that. And it's entertaining.
Exactly.
First.
It doesn't detract from the horror part of it at all.
Not even a little bit. And I love the violins that constantly play throughout the story as well. It really adds that creepiness factor.
He just remains so like righteously indignant, and he just sells it so well.
Like, yeah, it's the most arrogant.
You're waiting for this guy's arrogance to wear off, and he's like, nope, this is who I am. Like
to the very end.
Right? Yeah.
Literally,
he's like, there's no.
Yeah. So yeah, great. Yeah, so that's my number one there. So yeah, Tales from the Hood.
Great pick, man.
Thank you.
What's your number one VHS?
All right. We're back to it again.
Fuck.
VHS 99.
So anyway.
5 for 5. I like it. I got to change the title of this thumbnail.
VHS 94, 2021. This is definitely my number one. It was my number one at the beginning, and I had to figure out what the rest of them were. I love this this segment. The rest of them ain't shit compared to this one for me. I have so much fun with this. It's Terror, written by Ryan Prowse. Dr. already mentioned it earlier.
It's fantastic.
Takes place in takes place in Detroit, in and around Detroit. Michigan gets pretty rural. You get outside Detroit, but it's filmed in and around Toronto. This is what makes this so good beyond the story is the dynamic between the production company and the director and the source material, the subject matter. Bloody Disgusting is what I would call alt-left. They are the hysterical left. Whatever you think of, that's them. And they're writing this, they're making a segment on what they believe the alt-right is.
Yep.
And that dynamic is so funny and it's so fascinating just to see what they think they are and how they behave. I lose it every time. I can't even look at it. Sometimes it's so funny to me. Their perception is so crazy. But all these characters in this movie have an IQ around 80. They dress like shit. They look like shit. They drive beat up minivans and pickup trucks. They're all drunk ass, gun crazed religious zealots doing nothing but eating beef jerky, smoking cigarettes while constantly making racial slurs at each other. And to top it all off, the Detroit Metropolitan Police Force is also in on their scheme. The cops, of course, are evil too. Again, like I said, it's the alt-left writing their perception about the alt-right, and that, to me, is priceless. It put me in mind of The Hunt.
Yes.
Like
absolutely.
I love that. And so anyway, the story follows a Michigan militia group outside of Detroit who plans to blow up a federal building in downtown Detroit. But there's an interesting feature in this. It basically opens with them executing a man in a makeshift cell on their compound, shooting him right in the head, and then they continue on with their day. Seems to be no rhyme or reason, no explanation given. They continue to plan the bombing. Every morning from that day on, they do the same thing. They execute the same man in the same cell, very nonchalantly. They just go in and blow his brains out. They're making jokes while they do it.
Right. They'll take turns. Yeah.
Yeah, they take turns doing it, and they compliment each other on the.
Right. Oh, nice shot. Yeah.
That's a great shot. You got him good there. Don't get that blood on you. And then they just continue on with their day, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? What is up with this guy? It's like the Big Lebowski with the guy laughing in the scene. Who the hell is this guy? That's what you find yourself yelling at the screen. It doesn't get explained forever, it seems like, throughout the segment. You come to find out the man is actually some sort of vampiric monster. And they take his blood and they put it in a rabbit. There's a small little vial of blood. And then they eventually expose it to sunlight and it explodes like an extremely strong explosion, like C4, in just this tiny little vial. And their plan is to rig the monster up in some kind of chained apparatus and then wheel him into the federal building and then let sun hit him and it blow the whole place up. That's their plan. Great idea, great concept, great story. It's fucking hilarious, especially if you know anything about politics and know how these people behave, the perceptions back and forth. Of course, all hell breaks loose. The thing escapes. And you know where it's going from that point. Obviously, it becomes this melee, and it's insane gore. The monster is really well crafted with all practical effects. It's just, I don't know what more to say about it, man. I love it. I have such a good time watching that segment. I'll never get tired of it, and total surprise for me. It's really looks like it's an old shitty VHS tape too. That's another thing I like to point out about
it. Really does, yeah.
And that really adds to the charm of it. But the characters, I don't know, man. Everything about it I love. And if you haven't seen it, man, definitely check it out.
Now and you nailed it on the head. It's the sort of almost pantomime impression that they feel like these guys would be. And there's even like it's so far gone in one direction that they interpret. There's even these weird what they perceive are like these homophobic yet homosexual undertones between these guys.
Too. They're somehow gay.
Exactly, but that's somehow it's so ridiculous. And that they even throw these elements in. I'm like, you couldn't even avoid adding in all these additional sort of nuances to these characters. It's just when it boils down to like, okay, it's a vampire scene.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
and then and the bomb that they plan on using is some vampire monster that's going to explode. And I mean, everything about it, they cheer when the explosion, everybody's got guns all over them. They're bombing around it. And they're planning the bombing. They're driving by the federal building and talking about the direction. And the leader just casually takes a piece of beef jerky and puts it in his mouth. Washes it down with a cold beer, smokes a Marlboro Red. I mean, it's just,
and they're all
that's like Saturday down here.
Don't forget to call me. We're on duty. You have to call me the commandant. It's like all right.
Yeah, I mean, and it works. Everything about it, like I said, it's the alt left's perception of the alt right, and I'd love to see it the other way too. I'd love to see that be done too. So anyway, that's my number one.
Yeah.
Bullet.
Great pick, man.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
It's your turn. Am
I echoing or am I okay?
No, sound good. You're good.
Thank fucking God. My number one has already been mentioned, which I am fine with, but it of course is The Crate.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about that segment from Creep Show. Everything about it is perfect. I mean, Hal Holbrook, as he envisions killing his wife multiple times, Adrienne Barbeau, he envisions shooting her in the head in front of everybody, which everybody gives him a round of applause just because she's annoying as fuck. He envisions strangling her, and finally, after this tale is told from him of what is going on. Plots to kill her that way just to get rid of her because she is such an annoying cunt. She, I gotta give credit to Adrienne Barbeau because she is so annoying in this segment that you want to see her die.
Yes,
you want to see her completely ripped apart.
You're rooting for Fluffy the whole time to eat her ass.
Like this 100%. You're just sitting there like he's plotting to get her killed by whatever this thing is in this crate. And you're sitting there going, come on, do it. Do it. Do it. You're just rooting for this creature just to completely rip her apart, and you want to see it. And such a great cast. The story behind it is great. And again, going back to special effects and everything, seeing this creature rip into people, like going across their face and having the gashes across their face, it looks so realistic. It is so well done. I can't say enough about that segment with this. We were talking about Savini and whatnot, like that. It's completely knocked out of the park,
right?
With the effects on this, multiple deaths in it, but the whole thing with Holbrook and Adrienne Barbeau is incredible. Him screaming to her and blowing her head off at the beginning of it is Wilma, pop. And everybody giving a round of applause is
that's great.
Right.
I mean, it is so good. But the whole segment, this creature that's in the crate from like 1834 or whatever the fuck it is, over 150 years, ripping people apart, eating everybody, is just it's a joy to watch. As odd as that sounds, it is a fucking joy to watch. And with her character like that, Holbrook's character, what's his name? Fritz Weaver.
Mm-hmm.
Just fantastic. The whole segment is absolutely incredible. And Creepshow has so many good segments in between Father's Day and everything. But
where's my cake?
Yeah. I mean, that is such a good segment too. But the crate tops everything from that film. I mean, even as cheesy as the segment is with Leslie Nielsen on the beach with with Ted Danson and
Ted Danson, yeah.
Even
my breath
as,
for a long time.
Yeah. even as cheesy as that is, that's still a great segment. But the crate, the effects, what they did with the creature Fluffy ripping into people, biting people, it's so well done. And I just absolutely love it. And like I said, it's been mentioned before by you guys. It was part of the intro and everything, and that to me is the top for sure.
It's an icon, man, for sure. So it'd be on the Mount Rushmore of anthologies.
One thing about the Leslie Nielsen segment of Creepshow is watch the outtakes, the bloopers of that. When Ted Danson and the chick are coming in as zombies, whatever, and they start laughing. There's so many great outtakes of that whole segment. It's really worth watching. I don't remember if it's on the special features or not, but I've seen it before somewhere. Maybe it was on the old DVD release. I don't know, but the special features of the outtakes of that segment is really fun to watch.
Yeah, I don't remember if it's Blu-ray or not off the top of my head, but I have seen that before. Yeah, it's great.
Leslie Nielsen is so good as a villain too. I love seeing him.
He really is, yeah.
So menacing.
What's funny is I was introduced to Leslie Nielsen through Naked Gun. That's why I'm in Airplane, of course. And so watching them play like that character, or watching them play something, like the boat captain, whatever, in Poseidon. It's weird to see him play a serious role. After seeing him play Airplane and then Naked Gun. That's what I knew him from.
Yeah. I think that's where most of us knew him from, but seeing him a more serious side, it's different, but he did it well.
Oh yeah, no doubt. All right, so my channel, my rules. This is an anthology.
It's Armageddon, goddammit.
This is called a fractured anthology narrative. I Googled this shit.
Ah.
Oh,
I know
damn.
Brad was going to be on the stream, and Brad likes to, argue with me a little
Call
bit
you out?
sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Usually it's off screen. But this is a fractured anthology narrative. And it is motherfucking Pulp Fiction.
I fucking knew it.
I am really. I'm going to take a sip of my drink.
I was wondering.
I'm really excited to talk about this. I'm going to rely heavily on my notes here. So you're going to see how my brain works when I'm watching the movie. This is pretty much what my notes are.
Settle in, everybody. It's going to be a long one.
The one that I'm doing here is Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife. That's the segment I'm doing.
Okay, good choice.
Pulp Fiction, 1994. I got the poster sitting right there. I fucking love this movie. I absolutely love this movie. If you haven't watched it in the last couple of years, go back and watch it again. It holds up. I love Quentin Tarantino. He's probably my favorite director, pound for pound, and I think this is still one of the greatest things he's ever fucking done. Just the cast, whatever that I kind of wrote down here from this segment, whatever you got, John Travolta, Uma Thurman, and let me stop at Uma Thurman for a minute before I move on. And I apologize. I've had a few drinks here, so I really love this movie. So I may say more than you guys care to hear. Y'all can go to the bathroom and come back. I'll probably still be talking about it.
7 drinks.
Uma Thurman don't really do it for me. She really don't. But there's something about her in this movie that, yeah, she does it. There's something about the way she looks with that black wig on. There's something about it. But usually in other movies, Uma Thurman don't do it for me.
She was
I thought I was the only one that.
She was cast based on the shape of her feet.
It's the heroine.
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a minute.
Yeah.
You got John Travolta, Uma Thurman, Eric Stoltz, which Eric Stoltz is one of the most underrated fucking actors out there. Eric Stoltz should be.
I agree, hands down.
Like every third movie you watch. I love Eric Stoltz.
I'm just
Samuel L. Jackson, Bruce Willis, Rosanna Arquette, Steve Buscemi. Now, Steve Buscemi, most people may miss him if you don't really know or watch this movie a million times like I have. Yeah. He's the waiter at the fucking Jack Rabbit Slims. Buddy Holly. And like I said, I'm going to rely heavily on my notes here because I could talk about this movie for a long time and not make a whole lot of sense. Vincent Vega might be this is what I put in my notes as I'm watching this movie. Vincent Vega might be the coolest motherfucker in movies. Made you want to shoot black tar heroin. It looks so fun. I've never seen drug use on TV make me want to go out and find some heroin after seeing him do it. It just looked cool.
What's the meme? Guy spends $3,000 on heroin, bitches about a $5 milkshake.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. What does Eric Stoltz say? I put that shit against the Pepsi challenge against the Amsterdam shit. He said that's a bold statement.
Yeah.
I'll buy fucking 2 ounces of the Madman or whatever. Anyway,
give me 3 grams of the Madman.
3 grams of the Madman. I left so much shit out. I wanted to quote the whole movie. I wanted to pretty much write the screenplay and talk about all of it. It's all so fucking great. Best dialogue ever. I'm just gonna read what I got here because I'm struggling a little bit. I'm gonna be honest. Jack Rabbit Slim's such a cool place. Would love to visit a place like that. And this is the best quote ever. This is the best quote of the whole fucking movie. You think I could have a sip of that? I gotta know what a $5 milkshake tastes like. And then John Travolta's face, he takes 2 sips of it. And he says, God damn, that's a pretty fucking good milkshake. I don't know if it's worth $5, but it's pretty fucking good. And the way he delivers that line, I can rewind it and watch it 30 times in a row. It's so great. You got the twist contest. You know, I'm not a big soundtrack guy. I've probably maybe bought 2 soundtracks in my entire life. Back in the day, back in the old school days, I bought CDs before, iPods and shit. I bought the fucking Pulp Fiction soundtrack, and it stayed in my CD player in my vehicle for a long time, and I would just listen to it over and over again. The music in this movie is fantastic, and I don't get into that shit very much. That's usually not something that draws me in very much. I don't really buy soundtracks and albums and all that shit of movies. I just don't. But the Pulp Fiction soundtrack is fantastic. You got the twist contest. You got the Chuck Berry song that plays during all that. The funny thing about all that to me, whatever, is John Travolta after Saturday Night Fever, he's a big dance guy. She's wanting him to get up and do the twist contest, win that trophy. And he's like, oh, I'm good. He's playing like he don't want to fucking dance. And everybody knows that John Travolta's going to get up there and fucking kill it.
Yeah.
It's such an iconic scene. That dance was parodied to death over the years. Of course, Uma Thurman had no shoes on. She's barefooted. You know, so of course with fucking Quentin Tarantino having a foot fetish, every time you see Quentin or Uma Thurman, she has no shoes on in every movie. When they get back to the fucking apartment after they leave there, they went to the dance contest. They get back to the fucking apartment. The song that's playing, "Urge Overkill," "Girl." You know, this is a song I would normally not give a shit about, but just because the way they portray it in this fucking movie, whatever. Every time I hear it, it's Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
I listen to it on the soundtrack. I love this song now, and if it wasn't for Pulp Fiction, I wouldn't give a shit about this song. The soundtrack's fantastic. The Chuck Berry song playing is "You Can Never Tell." That's the name of that song. I'm going through my notes here a little bit. This is the quote. When John Travolta goes to the bathroom, they get back to the house. John Travolta goes to the bathroom. It's his boss man's wife, his big man's wife. He says, "So you're going to go out there. You're going to say goodnight. I've had a very lovely evening. Walk out the door, get in the car, go home, jerk off. And that's all you got to do." How many of us have had that conversation at some point of the night? And then, of course, Mia finds something in his jacket pocket. She thinks it's fucking cocaine. It turns out to be fucking heroin. She snorts it, whatever. And the whole fucking scene of her fucking freaking out, grabbing her nose. I'm not saying I ever done drugs, but I felt her pain. I felt like you could feel her fucking pain in that. And he comes out and sees her throwing up the $5 milkshake. You know, the whole fucking scene. This is the best part of the whole fucking scene. This is the point I want to make. You go from John Travolta when he first shows up for the date. He walks in, he's jacked up on heroin, he's Joe fucking cool, he's the coolest guy on screen. So all of a sudden he walks out and Big Man's wife is laying there ODing on fucking heroin. And he goes from being Joe Cool to freaking the fuck out. Calling the fucking drug dealer. You know, just the whole fucking scene of him driving in the car, calling Eric Stoltz. And let's get to Eric Stoltz for a minute. You get to Eric Stoltz. Eric Stoltz is sitting there watching some fucking TV show, eating a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
He's higher than giraffe pussy. He's just sitting, the phone's ringing. You got the girl on the fucking couch hitting the fucking bong. His wife's in the fucking bed. And Eric Stoltz is sitting there, the phone's ringing, he just don't give a fuck. He's watching the show, he's high, he's eating the cereal. And the wife's in the back are going, "Answer the fucking phone." And he's, I'm gonna get it. When he gets up, he answers the phone, no big deal. And all of a sudden it goes into John Travolta freaking the fuck out. He goes into the prank caller, all that bullshit, whatever. Everybody's seen the movie.
Yeah.
And that shot when he opens the blind, he's telling him not to bring that fucking bitch here. I don't party with a bunch of fucking bubblegummers.
Yeah.
He opens the blind. You see John Travolta's car, haul ass car in his front yard, and slam into the fucking house.
Yeah.
It's a great fucking shot. Pay attention when he opens the blind. You see the car haul ass across the screen. It's a great shot. They get in the house. Everybody knows the fucking scene. You know, the guy basically says, "Bring it down in a stabbing motion." I got to stab her 3 times. It's fucking gold.
No, man, you give her the shot. Listen, I bring an OD bitch to your house. I'll give her the shot.
Exactly. When it gets to the shot where everything freezes, and John Travolta's cocked and ready to go, and it goes to everybody's face, and you see that little drip come out of the fucking syringe.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like this. I've seen it 100 times. Every time I'm like this. I don't even realize I'm doing it.
Gold.
It's the whole fucking shot from the first shot to the last shot is fucking cinematic. Quentin Tarantino, fuck you, gold is what it is. And I love it. And after I rewatched it, once I seen that this was a fractured anthology, I watched that scene. I said, "There's no fucking way." I almost went to the Gimp. Marcellus Wallace takes it in the ass. I almost did that scene, but this is the most iconic part of Pulp Fiction to me. I love the entire thing from start to finish. But this is the best part of the whole story, I think, is the whole Mia Wallace taking her on a date. The heroin scene with Eric Stoltz, it's gold.
And just talking about Pulp Fiction in general, that particular scene is so perfect, but the dialogue, the music throughout just is perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, how else to say it? What else to describe about it? But the music throughout, you talking about buying soundtracks and whatnot. You can listen to any song from that film and be put right into that scene without a question.
If you ever watched anything on Quentin Tarantino, he is really big on picking the right music for the movie.
Yeah.
He's really big on that shit.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, I never really gave a shit about that until I started watching Quentin Tarantino movies. You know, and I bought the From Dusk Till Dawn soundtrack, which is fucking fantastic. And I bought the Pulp Fiction soundtrack, and they were interchangeable through that time.
He's the heaviness on the dialogue and the heaviness on the soundtrack. Just works with his films.
All right, I got a few more quotes here, then I'll shut up. Like I said, I took a lot of notes for this. I mean, I pretty much wrote the fucking screenplay for this.
So you still got
This is
your
Eric,
Malibu?
and this is John Travolta getting ready to give her a fucking shot of adrenaline straight to the fucking heart. He says, "Take off her shirt and find her heart." Does it got to be exact? He says, "Yeah, you're giving a shot to her heart. I guess it's got to be fucking exact." And I put on the tension of the shot, showing everyone, and then the drip of adrenaline dripping from the needle. Fucking masterpiece is what I put. And then, of course, at the very end, after she fucking stabs her, jumps up, freaks out, and then you got Rosanna Arquette going, "That was fucking trippy." You know, that shit, whatever. I put a note here. That was my Windows shutdown sound on my computer for years. Like when you go back in the day with Windows, whatever, back in the day for you old fucks out there, you could set sounds for when your computer started up and when your computer shut down. My computer for years, when I shut down my computer, would go, "That was fucking trippy." That's how it was wild every time. I had that for years. So every time I hear that shot in the movie, I think about my old fucking Windows 95 computer. It ends with her telling her Fox Force. I got to tell the joke. I got to tell the joke. It ends with her telling her Fox Force 5 joke. And by the way, the Fox Force 5 segment was pretty much is Kill Bill.
Kill Bill, yeah.
Right, exactly.
The pilot she was on was Kill Bill.
100%.
3 tomatoes are walking down the street. Papa Tomato, Mama Tomato, and Baby Tomato. Baby Tomato starts lagging behind, and Papa Tomato gets really angry, goes back and squishes and says, "Ketchup."
Ketchup.
She delivers it better than I did. And of course, the final shot ends with John Travolta blowing her a kiss. Cutscene. It is absolutely, there's not one thing wrong with that entire segment. So
perfect. It's perfect scene. It's, I mean, the whole film is tremendous, but that particular segment for it is just perfect.
Yeah, it's really good, man. I watched it so many times, and it's it should never get old. I can't find anything bad to say about it.
If you just throw the film on at some point, especially with that scene, it doesn't matter. You just sit there. You may sit back. You start to watch it, and as it goes through it with them in the restaurant, going forward to her ODing and whatnot, you're sitting back. You get to the point that you're like this, and then like this, and you just sit there and watch it, and you want to clap once it's all done.
And I was talking to my son Adam. He asked what my number 1 was, and I told him it was Pulp Fiction. He said, "Let me guess, whatever it was, the Samuel L. Jackson scene with him drinking the soda." Well, this is funny. Every time there's so many times in my family we've done this where we get somebody's drink and we'll take a sip of it. Damn, you just Samuel L. Jackson my drink? We say that shit all the time. You know, so he thought that was what I was going to pick. Whatever. I look at that as kind of being a wraparound story for the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's that's the frame to Pulp Fiction.
That's kind of the wraparound story for this. You know, it's not a traditional anthology. They call it a fractured anthology. What the terminology is for it.
Tried to hook up Vincent Vega with Jody, and he's like, "Which one's she? She wants to
oh shit in her face." That's my
wife.
Alan mentioned it, but it's like I've never really known. I mean, I don't drink alcohol, but that whole scene with Eric Stoltz, and there's no words. It's just 3 seconds of, I don't know how he does it. If it's Eric Stoltz or if it's Quentin Tarantino directing Eric Stoltz, but the look on Eric Stoltz's face when he's clearly high as fuck and he's watching his show. He just, there's this look of peace that is so like,
give a fuck. It makes me jealous, man. I need to do more drugs.
Right, I was just gonna say every time I see that, I go, where the fuck did I go wrong? That man, I don't give a fuck what you have in your bank account, what you drive. That man, when I see that scene, I was like, that dude has everything. Look at him. Look at him. He's fucking perfect right now. Until John Travolta shows up and ruins it, but.
Yeah, I just got my Malibu out of storage.
Yeah, whatever.
Some piece of shit keyed it.
Oh, yeah.
I love that whole bit where he's like.
Right, here's the other note that I made. I know that I made a note about the cereal. The cereal that Eric Stoltz is eating is called Fruit Brute.
Yes.
And you know how Quentin Tarantino is. All these movies are kind of in his own universe.
Yep.
This is what I'm just going to read y'all what I wrote down here. This is me typing shit as I'm watching the movie. When he is driving like a bat out of hell and calling Eric Stoltz, who is higher than giraffe pussy, is what I put. just chilling, mowing down some Fruit Brute cereal. Tarantino product placement, like the Red Apple cigarettes. You see Fruit Brute cereal again in Reservoir Dogs and Mr. Orange's / Tim Ross' apartment. I thought it was one other place, but I guess it's only in Reservoir Dogs. You see it in the background of Tim Ross' apartment. But of course, Red Apple cigarettes is all over the fucking place. They even got a fucking commercial in fucking Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I can't remember it now, but it shows up there. It shows up in a deleted scene from another Tarantino movie. I'd have to look it up, but it didn't make the final cut. But it's another brief scene.
Another great shot of him eating the cereal and hearing the phone ring is the phone rings a lot. We're afraid of the wife starts bitching. And it cuts from him getting up finally, and he's, I got it. That's exactly what I'm gonna tell this asshole, whatever. It cuts across. You see the other girl with all the shit, or the other friend that we're gonna set John Travolta up with, sitting on the couch hitting the bong right by the fucking phone. And he ain't facing her the slightest.
You don't care.
All she does, the entire time you see her, she's hitting that bong.
Right.
The entire time you see her hitting that bong.
Yeah, it's there's nothing else like it, man. I mean, I've watched a shitload of movies like all you guys. There's nothing else quite like it. As unique as Quentin Tarantino shit.
Yeah,
I love it, man.
You know, him keying my car, it'd be almost worth him doing it just so I could catch him doing it.
Right.
I just love the fact that Travolta he's got a wad of cash like this.
Yeah, dude, it's like
It's so absurd that he's got in his fucking jacket. It's literally this big. Fantastic. Yeah. It's
gangsters.
It's wonderful.
And it's a little shit like a Jack Rabbit Slims when he's saying, I don't think Buddy Holly's much of a waiter. Yeah. Maybe I think we should have set Marilyn Monroe section. He said, and Uma Thurman says, which Marilyn Monroe? There's two. No, that Mimi Van Dorn. That's Marilyn Monroe.
Do you any of you have the it was a DVD edition, I think it was a 10-year anniversary that came with a menu from Jack Rabbit Slim?
Oh shit.
No.
Oh wow.
Oh fuck, that'd be awesome.
One that has it?
It's a double disc, like it's cardboard digipack. Yeah.
It's I don't remember if it's a digipack or what. It's buried right now, but I still have it because I won't get rid of it because of that fucking it comes with a menu from the place.
Oh, yeah. That's cool as fuck.
I won't get rid of it because of that. I guess I'm the only one that has it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had it, but upgraded to blue long ago.
I did pick up the 4K of it, but because of the way that DVD release was with that menu, I still have just buried behind my old rows of other crap. Side point, I just thought I'd bring attention to myself.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the chat here. We got 20 people out there. Some of our vampires are starting to wake up.
Yay, vampires.
There they are.
All right, we'll leave off of here. I'm buzzing pretty hard, y'all, by the way, just so y'all know.
I didn't notice.
I mean, because I'm sitting here not even realizing that I'm broadcasting via satellite across the fucking world right now.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting in my fucking room chilling out, talking to my
turning up a whiskey bottle.
That's usually not a good sign.
Waiting for my phone to go off because I tried to plug in my phone and it wasn't working. I don't know.
All right. I feel like everybody's looking at me right now. All right, I think this is where we left off. White Tim said, did anyone mention Cat Eyes? I bought this release with the intentions of putting James Woods' Quitters Inc. on as my top 5. But once I watched The Strange Tales, whatever, it knocked it out of the top 5 for me. But I did find out last night, that there's a 4K of this. That pissed me off because I bought this from Amazon. But there's a 4K on Orbit. You can get a really nice with a slipcover, great artwork. And look at this wrinkly. I think he's got the same copy. Yeah. This wrinkly piece of shit right here. I paid $9.99 for it. So that's going to be going to Dr. Ordinary. I'm going to get the 4K slipcover.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So yeah, White Tim, I am a fan of that movie. I rewatched it for the first time in probably 20 years to get ready for the stream, and I think the whole thing's good. The Drew Barrymore one at the very end, it's all right. It's
that was
goosebumpy for me. But still a good anthology. Wild Reynolds, Twilight Zone, movie Gremlin on plane. Yep.
Oh yeah, it's an icon.
Yeah.
White Tim says, I love the Simpsons parody of that with the gremlin on the bus. I think the third Halloween special.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
Oh, yeah, the Simpsons do that. Yep.
Wow, I forgot about that.
Y'all know what's crazy? Y'all think about this for a minute. I'm 52 years old. The Simpsons came out about my senior year of high school.
Yeah.
So 18, 19 years old. I'm 52 years old. That show's still fucking coming on.
Yep.
It's crazy.
I remember watching it when it was actually a short on the Tracy Ullman show. That's where it got its start. It wasn't even its own show yet.
Wow. It's crazy, man.
I just remember, I'm Bart Simpson. Who the hell are you? T-shirts and it being so controversial at the time.
Right.
I'm going to say something really embarrassing. This is really embarrassing, but you got to realize I was raised in the 80s. I had a fucking 1989 Ford Probe. Go out and Google it. It was a cool car at the time. They canceled the car because it was called a Probe, and women got offended. But I had an airbrush tag for Panama City, which is close to where I live, Panama City Beach, Florida. I had an airbrush tag with Bart Simpson on it that said, "You can't touch this Probe, dude. Can't touch this."
Yeah.
And I displayed it proudly in front of that Ford Probe for years. And then I realized I was a dork and I took it off. But at the time when I got that done, I thought I was, you couldn't tell me shit. But that's really 80s. I probably shouldn't have told that story. So we're going to move on. Wild Wrangler says Bugs Bunny Gremlin.
Oh, yeah. That's a really good
one. They did that a lot during World War II, that the shorts that they would show before movies had Bugs Bunny and the Gremlins.
Okay. White Tim says Roland Dahl, a.k.a. the writer of Matilda and Charlie of the Chocolate Factory.
Yep.
Oh, there's Chuck back. Wild Wrangler says, well done, pig. About
Babe reference.
Babe.
Brian says, one of my favorite anthology segments is And All Through the House from the original Tales from the Crypt 70s movie. Such a creepy ass Santa, and it's awesome. Yeah, that was a good one. I did watch that. Get ready. First time I'd ever seen that one. Get ready for this. Tim saying hey to Brian. Brian said if it's an international flight for about 12 hours, you get out your damn seat out. Yeah, well, yeah. I haven't been on one of those yet. Atlanta to Colorado was the longest I've been so far. That was only about 3 hours. Brian said hey to Tim. Tim says Brian Pop ain't seven fucking feet like you. He may be able to stay seated for 12 hours. I'm so excited for So I Married an Axe Murderer 4K. It has never before seen deleted scenes on it.
Nice.
I know. I saw that too, Brian. I can't wait for that. I love that movie. It's such a damn campy sleeper hit, but it's such a great flick.
And Alice says, shout out to Dr. Ordinary for using that Pots Movie Dungeon mug. You and Alan are friendship goals. Hell yeah, man.
Yep.
It's coffee.
That's my boy.
Sure.
Right?
Walrus says, my grandfather flew a B-24 bomber, WW2 Doc O.
Oh, yeah. A B-24 Consolidated Liberator. It's a great plane.
Nice.
One of my favorites.
Oh, there it is. I'm not sure what he's referring to, but there it is.
There it is.
Whatever, it works.
Also, I agree with Pops. This is one movie Emma Thurman does it. Yeah, she's got that look, man. Even on the poster.
You know what's funny is Alan, I thought I was the only person because we'd get into these debates about who's hot, who's not, and for some reason, Uma Thurman, I have never outside of Pulp Fiction. It's like there's just something about her that I just never found attractive.
There's some shots of Kill Bill that does it for me also, but Pulp Fiction is where it's at. There's something about I don't know if it's the black wig, I don't know if it's just how it's shot, but yeah, Pulp Fiction is where it's at. Brian says Eric Stoltz is Marty McFly. Just ask the Flash. Yeah,
very true.
Mike's DVD and Blu-ray collection. What's
Mike?
up, Pops? Everybody, what's up, man?
How's it going, Mike? What's up, man?
Hey, Mike.
All notes saying hey to Dave. Mike says hey to Holland. Pulp Fiction 94 to 2024, 30 years. Fuck, I need to know that.
Damn.
Oh
wow. Steve says, I think that I missed everybody's number 5 was the original Tales from the Crypt film on anybody's list.
Nope. No, sure.
No,
I
really,
watched it. I'm a fan of it, but it didn't make my top 5. Also, I don't see Jane Mansfield, so she must have the night off.
Yeah.
Right.
Brian said, yeah, I had the DVD collector set with the Jack Rabbit Slims menu. Jackie Brown had a similar set too.
Yeah.
Magic Kansas. What you guys drinking tonight? I'm drinking that. So
Maker's Mark.
Water.
Baja Blast.
So,
Baja Blast.
Baja Blast.
That was full when Chuck started.
It was right.
It was.
So we were caught up in the chat. I mean, what's funny is it's just now. What time is it now? It's 12:35 Eastern time. This is normally when we start getting kicking real good. We got 21 people. We got more people now than we had at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you said, man, they all come out at night.
Right?
Yep.
So I'm sitting there running the stream. I don't know what to talk about. So Brad, help me out here. Give me a topic.
Close it out. Bring it home. It's a good stream. On to the next
Right.
one. We'll figure out another topic. We'll do another one.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, it's been a fun one. Like I said, I am not going to watch an anthology movie for many, many months. I'm going to watch anything but an anthology for a while.
No, but I had some great reminders. You know, I said that at the beginning of this thing, but now there have been some really good picks that make me want to go back and rewatch some of these.
Yeah. And I got a good buzz going, and that's getting young. I may come back on for a bullshit stream in 30 minutes. Y'all hold tight.
Before you hit the end button, I just want to say this stream brought to you by Bloody Disgusting. There
you go.
Their patronage.
There it is.
They send all of Brad's titles for free.
Yeah.
They just
Right?
they're good like that.
He's on the list.
They reimbursed me for the $12 these titles cost.
Preferred
for
customer.
books.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out. What is it? Tales? I wrote it down. It's in my notes.
Terror?
Wild Tales?
No, Wild Tales. I want to check that one out, and then I want to go back and watch the one that you were talking about with the Gremlin and all that. When you mentioned that, it hit me, and I'm like, oh my god, I haven't seen that in years. I really want to go back and rewatch that.
It's you rewatch it expecting it to be. I mean, at least I did. I hadn't seen it in quite a few years. I was like, all right, this is going to just be campy. I mean, it's 80s. It's, the Twilight Zone. It's going to be super campy. And you kind of just go, damn, it really is very intense. It's very palpable. And it holds up. It really does.
Yeah, I can't wait. And John Lithgow, how do you go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. By the way,
he does a good job with it.
They parodied that quite a bit in Third Rock from the Sun. There's several scenes where John Lithgow runs into William Shatner, who's doing cameos on Third Rock from the Sun, where they sort of tongue-in-cheek reference Twilight Zone. So it's kind of fun.
Oh, that's amazing.
And Brian said he's drinking Maker Marks too.
Nice.
Good choice. See,
Nice,
says Color Strain. Thanks for hanging out, guys. And
Steve.
Wild Wrangler says 13 out of 10 pops.
Right on.
It is an 8 out of 5 for me.
There you go. See you, Wrangler.
So, well, guys, it's been a blast. I knew this was going to be a
Hell
fun
yeah.
one. We'll be back soon with another top 5 and some other bullshit streams and other stuff. I'll be on Gizmo's channel tomorrow night with Brian. We're going to be doing our stream. I can't remember what the fuck he calls it. Something rotten in our collection. Where basically we pull shit off the shelf we hadn't watched yet. Everybody else on the stream pick something. I watched 4 movies this week I'd never seen in my collection. We're going to talk about those. That'll be 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night on Gizmo's channel. Other than that, I got some more reviews for the dungeon coming up. Probably some more live streams we got going, more top 5s, bullshit streams, stuff like that. Anthony, y'all got anything else going on? Anybody else?
Monday, the return of the WTF on my channel.
I got to watch Renapal.
Good deal.
I got to rewatch Renapal for the 12th time.
Yeah, on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, I'll be over on Fox Nervic's channel with him and RWR movie reviews, and we're gonna talk about the entire Insidious franchise. I'm gonna go see the new one tomorrow. The Red Door. And we're gonna rank all 5 of them, and we're gonna talk about all of them. And it'll be a lot of fun. And then July 18th, I'll be over on Bob's Blu-rays channel to do the slipcover battle. And that'll be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be fun. That'll be my first time on his channel and doing that slipcover battle. So we'll see.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see what you think of Red Door.
Yeah, I can't wait to go see it.
Yeah, I've purposely been trying to kind of like avoid anything. Just I love that franchise.
Yeah, Ryan, we need to rewatch those and go to the theater and watch that new one. I like to see
exactly. It. Yeah.
So, all right, guys, we're gonna get on out of here. It's been a blast. We'll see y'all next time. Everybody, enjoy your Sunday, and we'll be back soon.
Later.
Cheers, everybody.
Take care.